So
that's you. That's me. This is Badass Records, episode 4. Tanya Sieber.
Hey.
How are you? You do how to get it. So sometimes I'll
I need to be closer.
Well, just a little bit.
How's this?
This is great. I like that hip movement a lot. We're drinking beers. It's after 5 o'clock, so
we're drinking a beer called Escape, which is a West Coast IPA, and I'm pretty sure by, it's only 7.1% alcohol content, but it feels like a double IPA to me, doesn't it?
You say only. When I see 5+, I'm like, whoo, okay.
Oh, we're in different leagues. We're in different leagues, baby.
Well, I'm in the
8.5 is my limit.
That's tall. With beer, I'm typically pretty paranoid about processing the sugar out the next day.
What? Should I be paranoid about that?
Not if you wake up feeling fine.
Oh, that's where the hangover comes from?
Yeah, your body trying to
process the sugar?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought it was dehydration.
Well, it's that too. It's a combination.
Because I have some water right here as well.
Yeah. Anyway, I go I'll keep a pale ale on hand, but I'll also keep some Guinness and some Miller Lite on hand and just mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, you gotta keep a balance.
But I'll also, have a cocktail or two before.
I like gin.
Okay.
How do you feel about gin? I don't do the brown liquors. I don't like whiskey or scotch or rum or anything in that category.
I used to feel the same way, but my buddy that was in town left a nice bottle of tequila and a nice bottle of...
Tequila's not a brown liquor.
Well, I
don't do that either.
The añejo, not the clear.
Oh.
Yeah. And then a nice bottle of rum too, and he's only buying liquors that there's something about the processing that doesn't have any sugar added.
Oh.
So he doesn't get hungover. I still do if I
feel like I could learn a lot from you about hangover prevention. Could we do an episode on hangover prevention?
I know nothing about...
I'm 50 and I don't understand
that
world very well.
It's not fun. Mm-hmm. Especially with little children and a puppy that no mercy,
No mercy.
Got to be up.
Mm-hmm.
So this is exciting because you actually have something to plug, and you should do it now. We'll do it again later, but tell everybody, all 7 viewers or whatever this is going to generate. You're a musician.
All 7 of you.
Yeah, and you have some older stuff. A year, you just had the 1-year anniversary of...
Yes, I released my first album. I tried to do it on my birthday last year. It was delayed a couple days because I had some family drama.
Are you a big birthday girl?
I didn't think I was.
Oh, boy.
But...
You hit 50 and you're like, that's what's up.
It was a fucking great birthday. And now I think every birthday should be celebrated to the maximum extent that it can be. Birthdays are important, you're marking time. These are milestones.
That's right. Now I'm recalling that you were telling me about the moon and crystals and sage, and more crystals and sage than any woman should have, I think you said. So you're the day, your day matters. It can't be any of the other 364 of that year. It's that day.
It's an important milestone. Not just my birthday. Your birthday is important too.
Right. Everybody in my family thinks that I hate birthdays because I try very hard to minimize attention because I feel like everybody else is it's my birthday month next week, or, they have 9 plans surrounding the 14 days, and I'm just okay. So I feel like I'm trying to counter.
When you become a parent, your own birthday stops mattering, right?
Right.
It doesn't matter to anybody else, and it doesn't matter to you anymore, and it certainly doesn't matter to your kids.
Well,
right?
I mean, my kids care a little bit.
Oh, mine don't.
Now, I mean, they might not when they're...
Mine, I was out of town on my birthday this year. I was in Chicago visiting my family, which was fun. And seeing my dad, who has dementia, and bless his heart, my dad was so shocked to learn that I was turning 30 this year. He couldn't believe that. I turned 50. But my dad has dementia, right? And so in his mind, it's still 1990 when I was turning more like, 20.
Wow.
Something. And that's okay. That's where he's at.
Yeah.
So he just could not fathom the fact that I was turning 30, but he was so thrilled that I would spend my 30th birthday with him.
Really?
And it didn't seem important to correct him.
Sure. Yeah.
That didn't seem important.
Right.
That I was turning 50. And it's okay that he thinks I'm 30 because I can feel 30.
Yeah.
And I can celebrate that. I do sort of feel like I've been aging backwards the last few years.
Meaning?
Aging backwards.
Like you're getting younger with each birthday?
I feel energetically and physically and spiritually younger every
Okay.
year.
For just the last handful of years you felt that
Probably
way?
the last handful of years. Yeah.
Okay.
I had, I don't know, just kind of an awakening.
Wow.
I don't know what to attribute that to.
Did you bring me some sage, by the way? You said you're going to put some in my glove box.
I did. I forgot. Fuck.
That's all good.
Can I cuss?
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Whoops.
Um,
Sorry about that.
That's all right. So you almost released your debut album on your birthday.
I got so distracted. Right. I was going to release my debut album, which I had been recording over the previous 12 months.
Well, the notes say 3 decades.
I had written the songs.
Okay.
Over 3 decades.
Like in a journal, like they were poems, or.
So here's how this all happened.
Well, before we go there,
I feel like we've gotten distracted several times.
That's the whole
point
of this will be to who does a better job of getting us back on track. So but where's your stuff and what's it called?
Okay. My album is called Beautiful Scars. Mm-hmm. You can stream it on Spotify, on Apple Music. It's on Amazon. And then my website is a Bandcamp website.
Right.
So if you just look at tanyasieber.bandcamp.
Right, which I accessed through your Instagram page, which is Tanya Sieber Music. No, what is it?
Tanya Sieber Music is my Facebook page. I couldn't tell you the name of my Instagram. I'll have to look at that. I can tell you right now.
Yeah, do it.
I think it's Tanya Sieber Music. Okay, Instagram. Hang on. I have 4 Instagram accounts.
Oh, that's fun.
Well, I have to do I'm the marketing person for my company, for my rep group.
Are you still doing the equipment thing?
I have to manage all of that. Let's see. TanyaSieber.music is my Instagram handle.
Okay.
Tanya Sieber, all
and in your bio,
and
Sieber is Sieber.
Thank you.
In your bio, there's a link to your Bandcamp, which has the album Beautiful Scars plus the new single.
I have 2 new singles, I've only released 1.
Okay.
Here's what I learned. So I'm old school, right? Because I'm 50, even though my dad still thinks I'm 30. It's okay. Nice. And I feel about 25, or I act about 25. I'm actually 50. And I grew up in an era where an album was the unit of measure for music.
That's the whole point of this podcast, is talk about how albums are.
That's no longer the case. No. Did you know that? Albums are no longer the unit of measurement
what do you
for
mean?
Music. Well, now it's a song.
Okay, not for me. I won't.
Because you're old like me.
Yeah, I am.
Right, but that's not how most people absorb music anymore. They don't listen to an entire album.
Yeah, my daughter wants to do an episode, and I'm like, you need to pick an album, and she's changed.
She's like, an album? What is that?
She's changed artists once and then changed her album twice. And she's like, okay. And I'm like, no. You got to sit down and take it all in, start to finish, at least once. And then we'll talk about it.
But do you know how much that's asking of your daughter's generation? Like their attention span, and it's not their fault.
No.
And my attention span is shortened now too.
Yeah, everybody's
right?
is.
But I grew up listening. The very first album I ever owned, my dad, who now suffers from dementia, bless his sweet heart. When I turned 8 for my birthday, he gave me Pink Floyd, The Wall.
The Wall.
What 8-year-old should be listening to
I don't
Pink
know,
Floyd, The Wall? But that was the very first album I owned, and I don't know if you remember that. It was a double album.
Of course.
And you open it up, and there's all these amazing images, and the lyrics are written on the album cover in
liner notes.
Yes, in the most interesting fonts.
I had my freshman. I went to Pittsburgh State. Yeah. My freshman.
You're a gorilla.
Yeah, I was for a year. And then I moved to Colorado.
So you failed out?
No, I was actually going to go. I was going to switch to KU. And then I moved to the YMCA of the Rockies in Estes Park for the summer and worked out there. And then I was like, why would I go back to Kansas?
Why would anyone come back to Kansas?
But my dorm, I had a really big dorm room in Pittsburgh, and the walls were just like this cinder block. And I literally.
Yeah, we are inside the wall right now.
And I painted the whole wall of my dorm room in blue ink and matched the way that it was written. And then when it was the end of the year and I had to like take finals and get out of there, my dad came down and had to paint over that whole thing while I was taking finals. He was like, "You didn't think about that, did you?" I was like, "I'm going to leave it."
Why would you think about that?
But yeah. And I mean,
it's the first album I ever owned. And can I just tell you, I listened to that album like thousands of hours. I probably listened to that album. I knew every lyric to every song. I knew every moment.
Look, Mommy, there's an airplane in the sky.
I knew everything.
Yeah.
Front to back, inside and out. And I could just stare at the artwork. Like there's that ass, you open it up and there's that ass with, I think there's testicles hanging too.
I think so. Yeah. Right? And maybe a face.
What dad gives that to their 8-year-old daughter? Right?
Yeah.
Anyway, I loved it. My favorite song, If You Should Go Skating on the Thin Ice of Modern Life. Like, it wasn't the popular radio hits that were my favorite songs.
It was that creepy Roger Waters shit. Yes. You're like,
where are you?
I
loved it. And then the other album that I got that same year, Kenny Rogers, The Gambler.
Oh, wow.
Right? Like, polar opposites. But I knew every word to that album as well. And then I listened to Queen the Game.
Okay.
But I had that on a cassette tape. You remember cassette tapes.
I've got like 800 of them in the other room.
Right. So this was the shit that I cut my teeth on as a little kid. And I listened to a lot of John Denver as well.
Same.
Right? Like bizarre things for an 8-year-old kid to be listening to all over the board. I listened to AC/DC, Back in Black.
Nice.
I had that album, but I also had The Wings, Band on the Run.
Oh, man.
Fucking amazing album.
Does that have love songs on it?
Yeah.
Oh, God. That bass line just pops.
Oh, my God.
I mean, it's so, and roll. Just.
So this is what I grew up listening to. Like, I listened to country. I listened to very trippy acid rock.
Nice.
I listened to a shitload of Pink Floyd. I listened to Led Zeppelin. I listened to AC/DC. I listened to Tanya Tucker. I listened to all over the board. I grew up with a very eclectic,
nice
musical experience. And what was my point?
That you almost dropped your first record on your birthday,
okay,
and then
you
have two singles.
To albums, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
it's not the unit of measure.
When it occurred to me to release my stuff, I thought, well, I'll release it in the form of an album because that is how you measure music. Well, it was clearly too much for people to absorb. Like, it was overwhelming.
Says who?
Well, I don't know. Did you listen to my album start to finish?
I did.
I think you're the only one in America.
That's not true.
I think you're the only one.
One of your things has got to have like a view or a stream tracker or something. Somewhere that information exists.
I look at all of the backsides of all of my Bandcamp and Spotify and Apple Play. You get all of that, data. All of that feedback. Yeah. But I can't tell. It's all broken down by song. Oh. I can't tell who listens to my album front to back.
So are you okay?
But I felt like that was a mistake to release all of my music in the form of an album, because I think there were one or two songs that probably I promoted because I thought they were maybe the catchiest or the most accessible or the most pop or whatever. And I think everything else on that album just got buried. And my favorite songs on the album, Time Marches On is probably my favorite song on the album. It's just gotten lost and buried. And I feel, in retrospect, like I should have dripped these songs, like one a month. And I should have promoted them on my social media. Here's my new song. And given the YouTube link. And let people absorb things one song at a time, because that is really all that people are capable of anymore. And it's not their fault. And I'm the same fucking way. Yeah. Right? So I don't criticize anyone for that.
I saw a thing recently where, I don't even remember, but it was looking at a video clip and talking about how many like camera angle changes there are with, it's like every 1.5 second, and there's like intention behind that, because they're trying to get your
that's the only way to keep us engaged, because our minds wander.
Well, whatever. I mean, it's your stuff, so you do what you want to do, but it's still the unit of measure for me. I mean,
you listened to the whole album, but I think you're
rare. Did. And you
listened to them in the order, like I chose the order of songs very deliberately. Yeah, and it took me a month to figure out
the order.
And
then did you still even feel great about it? But
it doesn't fucking matter, because that's not how anyone listens to them. Right? So
I don't think anyone. I think there are still people out there. I mean,
there's two. You and one other guy. His name is Stan Farley, and he's going to listen to this podcast because I'll send it to him. Can I tell you who Stan Farley is?
Yeah, please do. Tell me all the things you want to tell me.
Stan Farley is my unofficial agent.
Okay.
Probably my biggest fan, and my pen pal and my best friend. I met Stan Farley at a gig because I play bass in another band. Mm-hmm. Right, that's my side. I say that's my side project.
I thought tarot card reading was your side project.
I do that too. Okay. My band would say that my
don't call yourself lazy.
I know. I'm lazy about the shit I don't want to do.
Yeah, because it sucks.
My band would say that my side project is my solo stuff, and so let's not. They don't need to know that they're my side chick.
So
they don't need to know that. They can think that they're my priority and that my solo stuff is my side chick, and that's just fine.
Sure. So, but is this so we met, and we're jumping all over the place, but who cares? Like 8.
Somebody with ADHD is going to love this podcast.
8 or 9 years ago.
Or somebody with a lot of cocaine.
Yes. And we were hired by the same company. We were in training class together, and we did
Should we say how we met?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
You're doing it right
now. So, we, by the way, like 3 times today, I have thought about you making that drive from Lawrence every day and how much I was complaining about doing it from here. You're probably getting up earlier than I was, but so we were early in training, doing probably the first day or something, doing like a get to know you kind of exercise, go around and
can you tell the listeners, I say with air quotes, Can you tell them what company we were?
I mean,
work for
it doesn't.
We were
no, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Okay.
If they,
because it's cute.
They might like find something wrong about, and then be like, nope.
Okay,
that's
right.
disparaging. So
Let's
anyway,
not do that.
we're doing a get to know you thing, and somehow one of the things was something you would never guess about me. And we all, like one time I forgot to tie my shoe, just lame. And then I feel like we had to guess which sentence
Who
belonged
to which.
And so
when we wrote it down and turned it in.
When I heard I used to play bass in a metal band, I was like, well, I can definitely eliminate Tanya.
But it was me.
I know. That's what was crazy. So are the band now, is it still not them?
No, that was my band in college.
Okay.
And I played in a very heavy metal rock band. Originally, we called ourselves Smoke.
Oh, okay.
Because we smoked a lot of pot.
Okay.
At that time.
All right.
But then we changed our name to Space Lady.
Oh, wow.
We thought that was somehow better.
Were you singing and playing bass?
So our rule in that band was if you wrote the song, you sang it.
Oh, shit. Okay. Wow.
And so I wrote a couple songs and I sang them. And then our lead guitar player wrote many songs and he sang those. And our rhythm guitar player also wrote a song and he sang that. And so that was just the rule. And this was in San Antonio where I went to college.
Okay.
And so we were playing out in bars and we played in South by Southwest though. Couple times.
Really?
That's before Austin was a big deal. This
Okay.
was like in 1992.
Gotcha.
Right? Austin was not such a big fucking deal. It wasn't so hard to get into South by Southwest.
Right.
Anyway, I had never played a bass guitar in my life. I grew up playing classical piano.
Sure.
That's my musical training, right? But I met these guys my freshman year of college, and they were so fun. Am I too loud?
No, you might be a tiny bit too far, but I'm not sure.
Should I be closer?
Well, if you can. I don't want you to be
I
uncomfortable.
can be closer.
Okay.
I'm trying not to blast you out.
No, you're good.
So I met these guys, and I started dating the guitar player.
Okay.
The rhythm guitar player in the band.
One song dude got some action out of you, but the multiple song dude was like...
They were already hooked up with other girlfriends long before I joined the band.
All right.
So anyway... they wanted to start a band, so it was my friend Adam Dudley and my boyfriend at the time, Pete Gaucher, and our drummer, Jonathan Scott, and they needed a bass player, right? And so Adam, the lead singer and lead guitar player, was like, Tanya, you can play the bass. And he had a bass. No, we went out and bought a bass used. It was a Fender. And he showed me how to play it a little bit, and I just kind of taught myself. And like, I was terrible. I'm sure I was terrible, but I had musical training. I had a good ear.
Sure.
Right. And once I got, some calluses on my middle finger.
Would play with a pick or?
Oh, I've never learned how to play with a pick.
Okay.
I get criticized for that.
Oh.
Now by my current bandmates who think that I should learn how to play with a pick, but that's not how I learned how to play.
Right.
So I learned some fucked up technique that no bass player would.
Were you not holding your fingers?
I don't know what I do. I'm sure I don't do it right at all. But
occasional
I figured
thumb
out
slap.
how to play. I can thumb slap.
Nice.
I figured out how to play it in a way that sounded pretty good. And we started playing gigs. And then we cut an EP. Like I could send you those songs
from
from
91.
The
okay.
Yeah. So this is grunge era,
sure.
Right? But we were heavily influenced by Soundgarden and Alice in Chains and Black Sabbath and Zeppelin and.
See, I would call that hard rock.
But it was a blend.
Okay.
Oh no.
What?
You wouldn't. What did I say? We were
metal.
Heavy metal.
Yeah.
Oh, we were metal.
Okay.
If you heard some of the songs from our EP, it was fucking metal.
Okay. The shit. That's who you're.
Really driving hard beats and
gotcha.
Wailing guitars and very guitar riff heavy, right?
Okay.
Like Metallica.
Sure.
Kind of guitar riffs. So that's the kind of shit we were playing, and I loved it.
I bet. How long?
I loved it. So we did that for 4 years until the rhythm guitar player and I broke up.
Uh-oh.
And that was the end of the band.
Yeah.
And then I had to leave the state of Texas.
Had to?
It was bad.
Okay. Yikes.
You know, it was there. Texas was not big enough for the two of us.
Texas is not
It's
a small
big
state. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
So I had to leave.
But
that's okay.
That's all. None of that ever followed you. It's all chill and in the past now.
Well, Adam and I have remained friends, which is good.
But he's why you had to leave the state?
No.
Oh,
that
okay.
was Pete. Pete's why I had to leave the state.
Oh,
Adam.
Okay.
And I have remained friends. And Jonathan Scott, the drummer, he and I also remained friends. And interestingly, a few years after I moved away, he met another woman named Tanya. She spelled it wrong. She spelled it Tonyya,
Oh, yeah.
but that's okay. She's still sweet. And he married her.
Oh.
And they had a beautiful, beautiful relationship. And they ended up moving to New Orleans, and they were living in New Orleans. They were running her dad, she has an interesting background, but her family owned like a curio shop in the French Quarter.
A what?
In New Orleans. A curio. This is like voodoo stuff.
Okay.
Right? This is indigenous spirituality, New Orleans style.
Okay. Interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
Anyway, Jonathan, who was a religion major, that we all went to Trinity University in San Antonio.
Okay.
I was an anthropology major. Jonathan was a religion major. And he and his wife Tanya were running this shop in New Orleans, and he was like a spiritual advisor to all of their customers who would come in and buy candles, and they would buy curios, and because this is how you do religiosity.
Wow.
Right? And
never heard that word before.
Oh, well, you're not a sociology major.
Curios.
Curios. Okay. Well,
how do you spell it?
It's just an object to which you assign some power, some spiritual meaning for you, right? And you pray to it, or you pray with it, or you pray on it, or you it becomes an important part of your ritual every day.
Okay.
Right? And so the store that they ran, that they owned, they sold every conceivable spiritual object that one might, like we were talking about burning sage earlier, right?
Mm-hmm.
A purification, an act of purification. So you might go in the store and buy something that you would burn in your home to purify it.
All right.
Right.
Fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
But Pete's why you had to leave the state.
Pete's why I had to leave the state. But Jonathan, so sadly, died a few years ago, very unexpectedly.
The dude that married Tanya and had the shop and wow.
Yeah, he had an aneurysm in his sleep.
Man, those are that's it, right?
They call what he had the widowmaker.
Yeah.
You've heard that term.
A bunch of times. My whole life,
That's
I feel
what happened to him.
Wow. That's wild. Okay.
Anyway, so Jonathan, bless his heart, and God rest his soul, is a wonderful drummer and a beautiful human, and I miss him. But that was my band.
Okay.
But yeah, I had to leave the state because of the breakup, and Pete still, I'm certain he still hates me. He's never spoken to me again, and he won't be my Facebook friend.
Did you try?
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, that's
okay.
rough.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to be where they need to be, and he'll know what song on this album.
So there is an album coming, or are we talking about?
No, the first album.
Okay.
If he were to listen to it, he would know which song is.
Okay.
His. That's okay.
We should listen to one.
Okay, you want to do that now?
Yeah. You will. If you want to hear it, you got to put the headphones on.
Oh, okay. I'm putting on the headphones. What song are you gonna play?
I'm gonna play the one that I like the most.
I don't know which one you like the most. I'm so excited to know that.
Beautiful Scars.
I can't believe that's your favorite.
I don't know. It just spoke to me. I mean, there's something about like, and being an old soul kind of person that just like really appreciates an aged, maybe defunct craft of like, blacksmithship or I don't know, like, and then to have sort of that imagery, and then for one human to be saying that to another, it just like there's a lot of different ways you could go just with those two notions. But anyway, not your favorite?
Oh no, it is absolutely one of my favorites.
One of okay.
That song's written for my brother.
Okay, you said so. I mean, I want to talk to you about your liner notes, but it's really beautiful, and the different vocal layerings that kind of come in about 2/3, and then are added onto by what I think is a male vocalist. Mm-hmm. I mean, all of it.
My studio engineer. That's Carter.
Okay. I keep having like Green Jeans.
Carter Green Jeans Studios.
Okay, there you go. Like named after Captain Kangaroo's sidekick?
Pretty close.
Okay.
He's of our era. Yes.
Okay.
He probably grew up watching Captain Kangaroo too.
All right. So metal band. Metal band.
Right. And like, how am I a grunge chick, heavy metal?
Well, I mean, not only that, but like you start off your metal band in college in the early 90s, and then I meet you in 2013, and you're a working mom of 3.
2.
Sorry.
Like 3.
Sorry.
But it was only 2.
Yeah.
I probably exaggerated.
And now, I mean, you're still a working mom of 2, but you have, so when I saw the new single, Marked, came out a month ago or 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. No. I recorded. What's today?
Tuesday.
I recorded it 8 days ago.
Oh wow.
7 days ago.
Okay.
I released it a week ago.
Okay.
Yeah, feels like a month though.
So when I saw that, I was like, oh, that means, because of how I've always consumed music, I was like, that means there's another album coming. Mm-hmm. There is.
Well. So, first of all, I should probably share with you my experience of songwriting.
Yeah. Yeah, especially
so
if
the song that you chose to play, Forged in Fire, I just sat down at the piano one day and the entire song was...
That's you on the piano.
Oh, yeah.
You did a terrible job giving people credit on the liner notes.
I did?
By the way, yes.
All the piano parts are me.
Okay.
And that's how I write. I write
sure
on the piano.
Okay.
Because that's my home instrument.
Yeah.
I did write one song on the bass, which was with the ladies. Everything else I wrote on the
with
piano.
The ladies.
Are we going to play that?
No.
That's my super snarky song.
The scratchier, the better. I mean, I'm over here like, scratchy's pretty good. I mean,
I love that
how
song.
Come?
That's me cutting loose and having fun.
Sure.
Okay, but the way songwriting works for me, I just receive a song fully formed. It just like drops into my consciousness. And
like uploading helicopter pilot shit in the Matrix. Just, and then you just...
That's how songs...
Wow.
So for me to even credit myself with having written the songs feels disingenuous, because I feel like a vessel through which the songs are channeled.
You want to put higher power?
I think my grandma gives me my songs.
She was in there. She was somebody you mentioned, right?
I think that's where they come from.
Okay.
Although Marked came from someone different, and I'll tell you that story too. Marked came from someone I've never met, except in a dream. And he is the deceased son of colleagues that I now work with, he died very young, like in his early 20s.
This is a real person?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I've never met him, but I've heard about him from my colleagues. This is their son. You know, they lost their oldest son. Anyway, I'd seen a picture or two of him and I'd heard about him, but I had a dream about him last summer. And it was kind of it was a weird pedestrian dream that took place in a basement, and there was like a flood in the basement. And anyway, we were all down there, my colleagues and me, and his name is Darren. He was in the basement with us, and we were making a video, like not even a music video, just a video of some kind, like a marketing video, I guess. And anyway,
for work. And so you still
because that's how I know.
Do you still do the equipment kind of thing? Okay, right.
So I woke up from this dream and I was like, "Oh my God, I met Darren."
Had you seen pictures before the dream?
I had seen one picture, but it was of him from like high school.
Okay.
You know?
Who did you tell this to that you met him?
He was in his early mid-20s when he died. And it was long before I ever came to work for these beautiful people. But I met him in this dream, and I woke up that morning, and this song was in my consciousness. That's marked. Not the lyrics. The lyrics are mine, but the music. And the whole song was there, start to finish.
Did you go put it down
the chorus,
immediately?
The bridge, and I just started playing it. And
how did you record? Did you record it?
I didn't record it till last week. But
well, I know, but you played it that first day that it came to you, and then it was just logged in there.
It's in my body. It's in my.
You're a trip, dude. Memory. That is so wild.
That is how songwriting works for me.
That's really cool. It's really cool.
I don't sit down and work on something.
Parts and pieces.
It just comes to me, and it's fully formed.
It probably means
which is why I don't think they're my songs.
Okay.
Right? It's very bizarre. And what I've learned through this process is that until I go into the studio and record them and get them outside of my consciousness, there's not room for more to come in. So in that year that I was recording all of the tracks for Beautiful Scars, the title of that album actually is a lyric from the third song on the album.
Well, it's an album with a title that doesn't have a song of the same name on the album, right. Which is a fascinating choice.
The title straight from a lyric out of Burned It Down.
Okay.
And in the lyric, I was not referring, these are not my scars. These are somebody else's beautiful scars that I was referring to. So it's a little, I think it's misleading, and maybe I regret that now, but whatever. Anyway, my songwriting process it's just very bizarre. Like,
I think it's pretty cool. It's pretty rad. Just like flows out of you.
Consciousness, yes. And then when I record it, then it can go away, and then that clears space for something else to come in.
So talk about the tracks. Across 3 decades. Talk about the needing the space and then releasing, and how does that work across such a long period of time?
Right. Thank you for taking us back. So when I fled Texas, I moved to Chicago.
Okay. Where your dad is right now.
Where my dad.
Are your folks still together?
My dad's always lived in Chicago.
Okay.
Right? I used to visit him in the summers and stuff there. My parents were divorced when I was very little.
But is mom still in the picture?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, cool.
And she lives in Lawrence. She's retired, and she lives with me in Lawrence. But I moved to Chicago to get away from drama in Texas. And at first I moved into my brother's loft, and I was hanging there with my brother, for whom Forged in Fire was written.
2 brothers.
I have 2 brothers.
And what is the age?
One is a half brother.
Okay.
And then my full brother, who I actually grew up in the same household
with.
Right.
But what is
I'm the baby.
Okay. All right.
And we all share the same dad.
Okay.
My half brother, Dave, who's the oldest, has a different mom. and we never grew up in the same household.
Right.
But we're very close.
Cool.
So I lived with my brother Joe in Chicago for a while, and then I moved in with my dad in Roscoe Village. And my piano that I've had since I was 12 years old, that I've been carting around with me my whole life, came with me into Chicago to my brother's loft, and then came with me to my dad's place. And
how do you get a piano into a loft? Like outside and through a window, or upstairs?
There's so many stories.
Okay.
There's so many ways.
Literally.
So many ways of moving a piano. There was a freight elevator in that building.
Oh, wow.
So that was very helpful.
Yeah.
But when I was living in Chicago with my dad, I was listening to a lot of Sheryl Crow, the Globe Sessions. Are you familiar with that album?
So I got to interrupt.
What?
I made, this is a couple summers ago. I made a really big Sheryl Crow playlist. I've always loved her. And I did...
Riverwide. Is Riverwide on that playlist?
I could probably tell you.
Oh my God. That's my favorite song of hers of all time.
It doesn't ring a bell, but...
It's on Globe Sessions. That's a magical album.
That is such a magical album.
Oh my God. I mean, she's had some beautiful hits on her other albums. Some gems, absolute gems. But that album, start to finish, was like her bearing her absolute broken soul to the world.
What'd you say it was called?
Globe Sessions?
No.
Oh, Riverwide. Riverwide.
Nope.
Well, you missed.
I didn't.
The best song she's
I
ever
did not.
done.
I did not. The best songs are on this playlist, and I'll tell you, I spent so many hours.
Okay.
Making this thing.
I'm sure you're right.
And then I'm just messing with you.
Is Difficult Kind on there?
I don't think so. Do you want to just hear it?
Yeah, I do.
So I took, like little notes, like 4-line, like a stanza, like 4 lines of something written, and I placed them around the house, scavenger hunt style. And the final note, this is for my daughter, and the final note led to a desk drawer in our living room where I had, it's still there, the lyrics to every song on the playlist printed out. And then I sent her a link to the playlist on her tablet in the hopes that, she would sit down and spend some time. She didn't. She enjoyed the scavenger hunt, and she's never.
She never got into Sheryl.
Never even revisited the list. But all right, there goes the neighborhood.
Yep.
Eye to eye.
Okay.
Soak up the sun, and I was making this for my daughter. So
yeah.
Sideways, Sweet Child of Mine. Out of Our Heads, The Difficult Kind.
Yes, thank you.
Run, Baby, Run.
That's from Globe Sessions.
Long Way Back, Anything But Down.
Oh, that's awesome.
Motivation, It Don't Hurt, another Globe Session. Oh Marie, Cross Creek Road, Members Only.
Yes.
That might be my all-time favorite. Perfect Lie. I mean, just that. Give It To Me, I Don't Want to Know. God, she's so fucking hot on the cover of that. Just so stupid.
I'm in love with her too,
yeah.
So it's okay to say that.
Call on Me When I'm Lonely, Peace Be Upon Us, My Favorite Mistake, Weather Channel, Lonely Alone with Willie Nelson, Come On, Come On, Don't featuring Lucius, Homesick, Love Is All There Is, and I closed it with I Shall Believe.
Okay.
Which, I mean, for my money, I Shall Believe is pretty goddamn beautiful, too. Anyway, what were we talking about?
So I was living with my dad.
Yeah.
As a, mid-20-something-year-old refugee from Texas.
And you're listening to a lot of Sheryl Crow? Is that how we going?
Listening to a lot of Sheryl Crow. I'm listening to a lot of Fiona Apple.
Who didn't put very much music out at all, did she?
Tidal came out at that time.
After that,
I'm listening to a lot of Billie Holiday. I'm listening to a lot of Melissa Etheridge.
Wow.
I'm really inspired by female artists at this time.
You going to the Lilith Fair?
I'm also listening to a shitload of the Buena Vista Social Club. Do you remember
that
movie and that soundtrack?
No.
Maybe we could play something from that.
Okay.
Anyway, I was super inspired by that at the time. Ry Cooder.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, and I was just in an inspired place, but I was also reeling from this, relationship that had crashed and burned. Crash and Burn, by the way, is another great Sheryl Crow song.
It is.
From the Globe Sessions.
It's a really, really good record.
I think she was breaking up with Eric Clapton at that time. Isn't that what was happening?
I don't know,
Probably.
but it's a good fucking record.
Doesn't matter. Fuck him, by the way.
Why?
What happened to him?
What do you mean?
He just lost.
What did he do? Refresh my memory. Did he do something weird vaccine-wise?
I don't want to get political on this
COVID,
podcast. He's
Trump,
like a crazy anti-masker.
Okay, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
what happened
fuck
to him?
That guy.
Him and Van Morrison both.
Oh
Jesus.
no, Van Morrison.
Both.
Oh my God.
Yes. They
Wow.
lost their way.
Wow.
They're using their platform for evil. Anyway.
Some comic just had a bit in their new hour about, and it was like they hit on it like 4 or 5 times about Clapton's son falling to his death out of the window. He's like, no, I'm sorry.
How can you write a song like Cocaine, which is my favorite Eric Clapton song of all time? I don't know what that says about me. I've actually never done cocaine in my entire life.
Okay.
Not one time.
All right.
And that's probably a good thing because I think I would have liked it a lot.
That's why I've never.
I haven't ever done it, but that's my favorite
I
Clapton song.
I gotta go tears. No. I gotta go Tears in Heaven. I burned myself out on classic rock.
Beautiful guitar riff. My favorite Rolling Stones song, Beast of Burden. Beautiful fucking guitar riff.
Not a Stones fan.
Okay. Anyway, when I was living with my dad in Chicago, reeling from this breakup and having to flee Texas and, lose all my friends, and my whole identity is in disarray. And I wrote some songs on the piano.
Oh.
Which...
These were not in a notebook first. They've all been... Okay.
No. I put them in a notebook.
Okay.
The chords, just the names of the chords and the lyrics. That was all I had. And I put them in a notebook, and they went in my piano bench. And that piano, I wrote maybe 4 songs at that time. And so this piano, which has been traveling with me my whole life, went from my dad's house to an apartment, to another apartment in Chicago, to a rental house in Lawrence, to my first home in Lawrence, to my second home in Lawrence, to my third home in Lawrence, to my apartment in Lawrence. That notebook.
The piano is currently at the apartment.
Where I live now, yes.
Right.
But that notebook traveled in the piano bench.
And never got lost?
All those years never got lost. And so a couple years ago, I'm digging through the piano bench and I'm looking for my Debussy or my Schubert sonata in A minor or something that I wanted to pull out and play. Because I told you I was raised as a classical pianist. And every now and then I dig out old material and I try to relearn it and try to remember how I used to be able to play the piano when I was in high school and college. And there's this notebook. And I'm like, what's in here? So I opened this notebook.
It didn't even look familiar?
Well, I sort of remembered it. Okay. But, I mean, this was 20 fucking years ago.
Yeah.
I was a kid. I was 26 years old.
Yeah. Got it all figured out.
So I opened the notebook, and I'm like, there's these chords, and there's these lyrics. So I sat down at the piano, and I play through the chords, and I'm trying to kind of reconstruct, and it all comes back to me.
Were you writing like big C, little m, like above the specific words?
I wish I should have sent you pictures.
That's all right.
I still have the notebook with the original
you better.
Songs.
It's going to be worth some money someday.
Maybe. Anyway, 4 of those songs are on my album.
Okay. Wow.
So these were songs that I resurrected. I sat down at my piano a couple of years ago and found this notebook in my bench and resurrected these songs that I had written as a 20-something-year-old kid, right?
Wow.
And I was like, shit, these don't suck.
Right.
These chord progressions are actually really moving and intelligent. pageant. Like, how did I write this shit?
Do your kids take piano lessons? Or
we tried.
Didn't
They
stick?
hated
How long
it.
did they go?
Not long, couple years.
Okay.
They hated it. They hated everything about it. They didn't want to do voice. They didn't want to do piano. Addie was playing the violin for about a month, and they hated all of it and resented me for making them do it, and now they do nothing.
Okay. You
It's
tried.
Okay.
You
It's
tried.
okay. They're their own people.
Yeah.
But I kind of resurrected these songs. I was like,
Super cool.
These aren't terrible.
No.
And I did tweak the lyrics a bit because the lyrics were a little young. You know, the lyrics were a little immature. The main gist of the lyrics I kept. I just tweaked a few things here and there. And when I discovered this notebook, I had already joined this. Well, I should tell you the story of how I joined my current band.
Yeah.
So I'm living in a 5-bedroom, 3-story house on a beautiful creek with my husband and my 2 kids, and I'm living the perfect life, right? I'm working, I'm making money.
This is Larryville.
I'm in Lawrence, Kansas, living this beautiful life. And I'm outside on my porch, and it's May, early May, and I'm planting flowers in my front porch pots, which I did every May because I liked having flowers on my front porch. So I'm out with my...
It's part of making the house perfect.
Yes.
Flower.
I'm out with my flowers, and I'm in my potting soil, and I'm planting, and I'm arranging them in the way that makes me happy. And my neighbor, her brother, who lives in Hutchinson, Kansas, we call it Hutch. Thank you. You know that. You just call it Hutch. He was in Lawrence visiting, and he pulls up in front of her house, and he's got a minivan, and he opens the back, and, you know, he's getting something out of the back of his van, and I'm out planting my flowers, and I notice he has all of this music equipment, like guitar cases and amps. I was wondering if that's what you spotted. In the back of his van, and I just took note of that. And so he notices me, and I've never met him. I was friendly with my neighbor, but I'd never met him. And for whatever reason, he decides to walk up and say hi and introduce himself. And he said, "Hey, I'm Matt."
Your gardening outfit must have been
I was wearing jeans and a t-shirt. Like, I don't know.
I don't know.
And he says, "Hey, I'm Matt. I'm Anne's brother." And I was like, "Well, I'm Tanya. Nice to meet you." And we're chatting. And I said, "I noticed you have like a bunch of amps and guitar cases and stuff in your van." He said, "Oh yeah, I'm in a band, and I'm here in Lawrence for band practice. That's why I'm here this weekend." And so then I felt the need to tell him that I too had been in a band a quarter of a century ago, because it really was 25 years ago at that point. A quarter of a century ago in college, I was also in a band. And he was like, "Oh, that's cool. What did you play?" And I said, "I played the bass." And he's like, "Well, that's really interesting because our bass player just last week moved to Memphis, Tennessee, and we need a bass player." And I was like, well, first of all, I don't have a bass guitar anymore. Second of all, I haven't touched a bass guitar in 25 years. I don't know that I remember how to play it. And that's really fun, but really, that seems crazy. And he's like, "Oh, you'd be great. You should do it." And I was like, "That's crazy."
It's the same sort of inspiration as the college band. Yeah. Like, you can do it.
You can do it.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, okay, I'll think about it. And I got his contact information, and he said, "Talk to my brother, Patrick, who is also in the band and lives in Lawrence." He says, "Talk to Patrick. You should, just come check it out. Give it some thought." So I chat with Patrick, and we have a phone call, and he's like, "Come over and listen to ours." He sends me a few songs, emails me a couple of their songs. I listen to them. I go over and I meet Patrick, and I meet Phil, the drummer, and I listen to some more of their stuff, and I played them some of my college band stuff, so they could see what
on cassette, or what do you...
I had these digitally.
Really?
I had them on my phone. I downloaded them from I can't even remember how I
Napster.
It was something like that. I think it was my friend Adam Dudley's. Do you remember before Facebook there was MySpace?
Of course. It was the band,
That's where I downloaded him from, his MySpace account.
Okay.
Which is crazy. And the audio quality was terrible. But
they're alive.
But I also had CDs.
Okay.
From that time in my life. We actually cut CDs back then, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Well,
that.
I mean, you can buy a CD of your stuff.
I know, because people actually requested those, so we made some.
Yeah.
But I had a CD, and I had downloaded the files from his MySpace page. Anyway, I played some of my stuff so they could see what I could do as a bass player, and I had listened to some of their stuff, and they played me a few more songs, and then they loaned me a bass guitar, and I had a bass guitar amp sitting out in the barn. At that time, I lived out in the country because we raised chickens in a big garden, and we had goats and stuff.
But your neighbors, when your neighbor's brother pulls up, it's close enough that you can see.
So it's kind of a confusing story. That was my mom's house, and my family, my husband and kids and I lived out in the country, but then we swapped houses with my mom. So I was living in my mom's house in town, and she was living in our house.
Interesting.
Out in the country.
Why did
but
that?
we still had all our shit out in all the barns and the basement and
yeah.
stuff, because we hadn't ever cleared it out. So anyway, my husband at the time went back to our barn and rescued my bass amp that had been sitting out in the barn for, 15 years.
But it hadn't gotten wet or anything.
I don't know. It still worked. And that's still what I used as my practice amp,
Nice.
which is funny. And so he brought this bass practice amp home for me, and they loaned me a bass guitar. And I was just listening to their songs and trying to learn them and doing my best. And then I went and kind of auditioned with them, and I learned 2 or 3 of their songs, and I auditioned with those songs, and they were like, perfect, you're hired. And that was that.
When is this?
So this was this summer of what are we in?
2022.
This would have been the summer of 2018 because it was before COVID.
Yeah. I mean, barely, like right.
May of 2018 is when I joined the band, and I learned all their songs.
With support and blessing from your husband, who...
Oh, he loved it. He thought it was great. And he's still, even though, we're not together as spouses anymore.
He got a fascinating nod. Strongest person I know.
Absolutely. And he's still my best friend, and I adore him, and we love each other and support each other, and he encourages me. Like for Christmas this year, he got me a microphone and a mic stand. Like he really wants me to pursue this.
That's
He's
awesome.
Lovely.
I bet
He's a beautiful human.
Probably does.
We weren't great as husband and wife, but we're great friends and co-parents.
Yeah, and your kids have to appreciate that on some level.
I fucking hope so.
Right?
So that was weird and serendipitous, right? How I ended up in this band. But then Matthew, so I joined this band, I learned their songs, we're playing shows, I'm having so much fun. I'm like,
are you playing
reconnecting with the musical part of myself, which had been dormant since I got married, and since I moved to Lawrence and got married and started having kids.
Right.
Like all of that went away for 20 years.
So when this happens, are there weekly practices, and how often are gigs?
Mm-hmm. So we're practicing weekly or every other week. And we were playing shows. We were trying to play once a month, right? And all of that was great until COVID hit, and then we just got shut down.
Were all of your gigs in Lawrence?
Mm-hmm.
And which ones did you play at?
We played Lucia. We played the Replay. We played the Jazz House.
Nice.
We played some private parties and stuff.
All paid gigs.
The last time we played the Replay, we got paid $22. So does that count?
What is that after your bar tab is taken out? Like why?
Oh,
how is that the amount?
Our bar tab.
How do they land on $22?
Can I tell you that the life of a musician is not particularly lucrative or self-supporting?
Well, I know, but
that's why I have a tarot business. My tarot reading business supports my music habit.
That's a super strange amount, though, for a 4-member.
It was some
band.
portion of the door.
Oh, okay.
Some percentage of the door, and it was $22 in small bills.
Wow.
I shit you not. But anyway, I joined this band and I'm reconnecting with my musical roots and I'm having so much fun and I start aging backwards, right? That's when I started aging backwards. And Matthew, who introduced himself on my front porch and seduced me into the band, and I'll say that he seduced me into the band. It was an absolute seduction. And he knew exactly what was missing in my life, and he took advantage of me. I can say that honestly.
What?
He could see in my eyes what I was missing in my life.
You're not saying that as though it's a bad thing.
No, it was such a good thing.
Okay.
He saved me.
Wow.
He saved me in a lot of ways. Anyway.
Are there two? There's two people.
Matthew and Patrick are brothers.
Yeah, the butchery or something like they're on the. They both get
Schlotterback.
That's what it is.
They
I
both
was
get
nowhere close.
Credit in my liner notes, but Matthew, who lives in Hutch, he's a general practitioner. He's a doctor.
Okay,
that's what he does professionally, but he is also a songwriter and a creative genius and a really fun, deeply creative, fun, beautiful person. And he writes songs, and he had been recording songs with Carter Green at Green Jeans Studios in Wellington, Kansas, which is just south of Wichita.
Yeah, I had to go there for training.
Across the highway from Winfield.
Yeah.
You're familiar with Wellington.
Yeah.
Tiny town. That's where a studio is. So Matthew had recorded, 6 or 7 songs down there with Carter. And Matthew sent me some of his, solo stuff that he had recorded. And he goes in with a guitar part and a vocal. And he comes out of there with a complete instrumentation and a song.
How?
Because Carter plays the drums, the percussion, the rhythm guitar, the electric guitar, the acoustic guitar, the bass, the fucking saxophone, all the strings. He's a beautiful fiddle player.
That's what it is. There's two tracks on that have beautiful strings.
Beautiful strings. And he has an orchestration degree from the University of Chicago.
Wow.
Like, when I say he is a brilliant musician, I cannot possibly overstate his talent. And he gives himself no credit, right? But he can write an arrangement. I can go in with a piano part, and in 30 minutes, he's written an entire string quartet.
Wow.
Orchestration.
Okay, so all the musicians on the record did get credit, but they didn't.
There's only 2 of us. It's me and Carter. Those are the only musicians on my entire album. Anything I didn't play, Carter did.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
It's the 2 of us.
So the 2 brothers.
No, they didn't play anything.
Oh, but they just got a shout out.
They inspired me.
Okay.
Because Matthew went in and recorded these songs, and all he's ever played was the guitar part, right? And he comes out with these complete songs, and I'm like, how the fuck did you do this? And he said, Carter Green is
You're
how
going
I
to
did
Carter
this.
with vocals and piano, and he's filling in the rest.
And I was like, well, I've written a couple songs because I had found my notebook by then.
Right.
I said, I've written a couple songs. He's like, go record them. And I was like, oh, I don't think I could do that. And he's like, oh, yeah, you can. Just go do it. Just email Carter, tell him I sent you, and book studio time. And I was like, fuck, I can do that? And he's like, you can do that. So I did that. I emailed Carter and I booked studio time. And so the first time I did that was February of 2020.
Okay.
And I went into the studio with Carter. I had no idea what to expect. I had made a stupid demo on my phone with me playing my piano and recording a vocal track over it. And This Won't Last Long was the first.
Okay.
Won't Last Long was the first song I recorded with him, which is my kind of crossover country tune.
Nice. So wait.
Which was one of the ones I'd written in the early 1990s.
Okay.
Living in my dad's house in Chicago.
You first go there and you said his studio's in Wellington?
In Wellington.
So you first go there in 2020, and then are you just...
In February of 2020.
Sprinkling
and I have
in...
one song.
Right.
Right? Won't Last Long. And I go in there with a piano part and a vocal. And I come out of there with the entire instrumentation that you hear on the album. And I'm fucking hooked.
So...
I'm like, this is the greatest experience of my entire
It's really cool.
life. The process of making that song in the studio with him is life-changing. And then I was hooked. And then it was like one song after another. Boom, boom,
That's what
boom,
I was going to
boom.
ask. So then are you've everything's coming from the notebook. But
well, there were 4 songs in the notebook.
Okay.
And the rest of the songs I wrote. The rest of the songs I received.
But are you going to his studio one song at a time?
Originally, I did one song at a time,
Okay.
but then I was like, I have to be more efficient. So then I would book 2 days back to back and stay overnight.
Oh.
Either with him or with Matt.
Sure.
And do one song one day and then stay overnight and then come in and do the next song the next day. And by the end of the album, I was getting so good at this. I did 3 songs in 2 days. The last 3 songs, I did Lakota Prayer and With the Ladies and Forged in Fire.
Who's the flout? Is it flautist?
That's he didn't play the flute.
Okay.
We played the flute part on the keyboard, but that is a flute sound that he's purchased, probably tens of thousands of dollars of sounds, banks of sounds,
sure.
right? And you can buy some really high quality stuff. And so that sound was called Indian flute. I would have thought it should be called Native American flute, but it was called Indian flute. But we played it on the keyboard. But that's one of my favorite elements on the album is that flute part on Lakota Prayer. Those are not my lyrics, by the way.
They're not.
That's a traditional Sioux prayer.
Okay.
That I tried to credit that in the liner notes. Maybe I didn't do a good job of that. That's a prayer.
It was. I mean that I've always been a pretty I get geeked out about Native American history, all of it.
Me too. It was a past life.
So it's still. I mean I might be in the same boat, but I saw it that name stuck out, and I was like, oh, it's fucking Last. All right, and then I wasn't disappointed.
Well, it was interesting because the music came to me. Again, I say I received the music because that entire song came to me intact, fully formed.
Wow.
The intro, the verses, the chorus, the choruses, the bridge. But I didn't have lyrics to it. I just had the music. But it felt native to me, and it felt deeply spiritual. And so I was just Googling native prayers.
Thanks, Google.
And I came across that particular version of a Sioux prayer, a daily prayer.
Is that the one that has teach me how to trust my mind, my inner, and my intuition?
Yes.
I was like, what? I thought you wrote that. And I was like, dude,
no,
that is really...
That's a Lakota prayer. But the fact that those words fit so perfectly with the music, that was a fucking miracle.
It's great.
I mean, the music was written totally independently. I hadn't even found the prayer yet.
So we're talking essentially...
They were meant to be together.
12 months from the first time you go...
From the first song I recorded until when I released the album.
And so...
I finished recording in September, so it was more like 6 months of a recording process.
And then what was happening?
So from September to February, I had to take album photography. I had to have some photos, right, to put out an album. I had 10 songs at that point. And Carter said, well, Tanya, you need to release these now. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you need to release them, put them out in the world. They need to be doing something. They need to go somewhere. And my brother, Joe, who lives in Chicago, for whom Forged in Fire was written, he's also he's a drummer.
Cool.
And he's in a band. And they record all their own music. And they release stuff all the time. He's in a death metal band called Arriver. And one day you'll check them out and you'll be like, the fuck is this?
I mean, I just got the image of...
You
said Arriver, I heard Berserker. And
they write these epic 17-minute long songs about the Korean War. No, the Russian Japanese, Russian, more. I don't know. They write. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Well,
and you can't understand any of the lyrics.
No.
And anyway, that's the band my brother's in. But
Clerks,
he's very
Berserker, Olaf.
Yes. Exactly.
Said Arriver. I immediately pictured. Yeah.
Yep. You're there. You're right there. But he's knowledgeable in this. And he has
production
all the tech
world,
and he's a super nerd and very geeky, and he understands all the equipment and the technology and the recording and the releasing. So he is trying to help me. He's like, well, you need to set up an account with DistroKid, right? That's the label that I use to release everything.
Okay.
And
how'd you choose that?
You upload your songs to Distro, because he told me to.
Okay.
And I just do what he tells me to do. And you upload your songs to DistroKid, and you pay for your, annual subscription to have that, and that's your label. And they're going to release it to all of the streaming platforms for you, right? So you choose your label, you pay your fees, you upload your music. They then release your music to whatever platforms you choose. And I've told them to release it to all of the platforms. Right. So then that's how it gets out to Spotify and Apple and Amazon and Deezer. And there's a million.
Stitcher and Pocket Cast.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Right. And he's like, and you also need a bandcamp website.
Okay. I was
curious.
Because
that's your website. And people can actually purchase your music directly. And you can put merchandise on there and stuff. Right. So you need a Bandcamp website. And then your YouTube, you need to open a YouTube account, and your DistroKid account and your YouTube account eventually will sync up, and then everything you released through your label will end up on your YouTube site. But it takes a while for that to sync up, but it'll get there. And then you can, once it syncs up, then you can start uploading your own videos to your YouTube channel. It's not a site, it's a channel.
Okay. Right. Yeah.
So now you have a YouTube channel to manage and a Bandcamp site and your label, but then you also need to do your social media stuff. You have to get Instagram and a Twitter, and you have to get your Facebook page. You have to get all this stuff coordinated so you can promote
still your brother
yourself.
Telling you this.
My brother's telling me all of this shit, and I'm just like, my eyes are glazing over, and I'm like, I just wanted to write some songs, man, But he's like, oh, and your album photography has to be professional. You can't just take a selfie. Yeah. You need to get actual. What is that? Is that your dog?
It's the dog. I could pee, and I'll let her out.
We'll take a break?
Yeah.
Okay.
Everything all right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I have a friend who is dying of stomach cancer.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. That's heavy.
It is heavy.
Our age?
No, he's a little older. He's in his late 60s, I think. Maybe early 70s, late 60s, early 70s. I don't know. He's kind of ageless. He's a beautiful man. Anyway, I've seen him the last 2 weekends in a row, and we've had good visits. And when I saw him 2 weekends ago, I didn't think I'd see him last weekend. And when I saw him last weekend, we made a plan to see each other on Thursday this week, but I didn't expect that he'd be here then, and I don't expect that he'll be here Thursday. And I just got a message from a friend that he's taken a turn for the worse, which I'm not surprised.
Wow.
To hear. I mean, he hasn't eaten in 2 weeks.
Oh my God.
Well, he has stomach cancer.
Yeah.
But to be a witness to his experience of ending this life, like I can't imagine a more beautiful thing to be invited into.
Like spending time with him. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Man.
I thought it would be scary to me, and I thought
you were going to say one of your kids couldn't find their phone charger or something. I was like, Jesus.
No, it's bigger than that.
Yeah.
But it's quite a blessing to be invited into that circle.
Yeah. So will you see him Thursday?
Circle of death. If
I
don't know, I'm going to touch base with her tomorrow. I don't know that he'll be here Thursday. And if he is here Thursday, I don't know. I bet he'll be just sleeping by then.
Right. Jesus.
But
all right.
It's okay. Anyway, where were
your
we?
brother is saying you got to get your Instagram and
right. So he's telling me all this shit that I have to do to be ready to release my album, and I have to have professional photography.
And you're like, I just wanted to write some music.
Right.
So who is managing? I mean, because you got like your lyrics are on Apple Music. I mean, how did those get there?
I don't know.
And
from my bandcamp.
Okay.
Maybe I uploaded them to DistroKid. Maybe I uploaded them to my label when I uploaded my songs.
Is there merch on your...
On Bandcamp, there's CDs, but that's the only merch.
Now,
I'm thinking about coasters.
Okay. I'm going to do coffee mugs, T-shirts, and socks, and maybe a beanie, a stocking cap. But
flat cap?
No. Like,
isn't that a beanie? Oh, like that.
Yeah, a toque, a beanie, a stocking cap.
What would people buy? Like, I don't want people to walk around with a T-shirt of me. That's fucking creepy.
Women make crazy amounts of money selling their worn underwear. You could try that. They get like requests.
What?
Like, oh yeah.
What?
Oh yes.
No.
I want 6 days straight unwashed, like no shit, or I want.
How can they know that you're giving them what they've ordered?
I mean, who knows? They're just gonna and fucking just, but I want.
I had no idea there was a market for this.
I think it's a lucrative.
Do women buy the same thing from men? Is there a market for that?
I would hope not, but there might be.
But you're not shopping on those sites.
I'm not. I know. I've heard about this stuff from a podcast.
Oh, you heard about it. I'm sure you did.
And like very very specific. Like I want post period panties and.
Could I support my music career selling my underwear? Because I love giving tarot readings. I love it. I'll do that for as long as I possibly can. But if I could just sell like a day's worth of underwear.
I think a day's worth is
6 days worth.
Yeah, I think it's like a legit, like people that sell shit on eBay. Mm-hmm. They gotta you gotta take it to the place, to the post office or whatever, so that you get a scan.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like legit.
Yeah. Okay. I need to give that some thought.
I mean,
I don't have any really provocative merch at all on my.
I don't. CD. I don't. Well, okay,
but there's great art on that CD.
So when somebody purchases a CD, mm-hmm. do you have a box at your house that you then physically, or is it being managed by another?
No, that's me.
Okay.
I take a CD out of my drawer and I put it in an envelope and I go to the UPS store and I write a little handwritten note in there and I write the address on the envelope and I ship it.
Wow.
That's how that works.
This note was in my underwear for 30 minutes. My buddy, when I sent the dude that was the guest on episode 1, I sent him the logo, and he, within seconds, hit me back with links to Zazzle.
What?
And so it was like coffee mugs and like yoga pants and all this shit with my logo on it.
Oh my God.
And I was like,
I need to hook up with this guy.
Well, it's just the website.
I think I only have like 3 fans though. So who's really going to purchase it?
I don't know, but I'm going to try to sell some merch down the road just because it'll make me giggle. I'm not trying to make any money.
I was thinking coasters, but I really needed to be thinking underwear. I was thinking really small. Okay. Thank you.
So
my brother really taught me how to be a producer and marketer of my music.
So you have 0 people handling any details for you?
No, it's all me, which is why it's probably pretty bad.
No, I wouldn't say that. But the tarot thing supporting the music piece
so I do tarot readings and I
is studio time.
That pays for my studio time.
Is that your biggest expense?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, because YouTube and Instagram are free.
Right.
I pay $14 a year for my DistroKid label fees. So that's an expense.
Right.
And other than that, it's free.
Okay.
I did just purchase a bunch of gear because here's the thing. Like, I need to figure out how to perform my music live because I play my piano was manufactured the year of my birth in 1972. So it's 50-year-old piano. It's an
or
upright,
92 if we're talking about your dad.
Or if we're in dad years. Yeah. Thank you for that. But I can't haul that piano around with me to perform, right? And I don't play the guitar. I probably at some point in my life should have learned how to play it, but I don't. So for me to perform my music live, I have to play the piano because that's how I wrote the songs and that's the basis of all of them. But I don't have a way of doing that live because there are no pianos sitting around in bars, or wherever I would be playing.
A keyboard, nothing
I
will
didn't
serve.
own a keyboard.
I know, but I mean,
until my birthday, and my brother Dave and my brother Joe pitched in and bought me a beautiful Yamaha digital piano, which has the most beautiful action and the greatest dynamics, and I love it. And so I've bought a stand. I have a bench arriving supposedly from Sweetwater on Thursday, and I have a mic and a stand that my ex-husband gave me for Christmas. God love him, but I still need a mixer and a powered speaker. Like, I need all this shit, right? I need all this gear so that I can go play live.
Well, and will you go play solo? You won't have.
I won't. I'm probably not smart enough to figure out how to play to my backing tracks.
What does that mean?
So I could, if I were smart, which I'm not, if I were more technologically capable, with my mixer and maybe a laptop setup, I could have a click track in in-ears playing that I could play my piano to, and then the other, I could have drums, I could have violin parts, I could have the guitars, the bass, whatever from the instrumentation for my album. I could have backing tracks that are playing out through those speakers that I also hear in my in-ear monitors. And I could have at least one or two different tracks playing with me, but I'm not smart enough to figure all that out. Well, and that seems like a lot that could go wrong. So I'm just going to play unplugged, me and my piano.
Cool. And so when you arrive at that, will you then be like 100% on your own to get stuff there and get set up and break stuff down and get stuff?
So I needed a very lightweight keyboard and a portable folding lightweight stand, and I still need to figure out some places I play will have a PA, so I don't need to bring a mixer and a powered speaker, but some places won't, so I have to figure all that out.
Are we talking strictly Lawrence, or just are you going to hit the
Lawrence
road?
For now, but I could play anywhere. But I have a job and kids. Like, I can't go on the road.
I mean, if the pay is
for
more than $22.
My share of the door, $22. That might cover my gas there,
not anymore.
But not back.
Not anymore.
Not back. Right. So, but I feel like you have to be performing your stuff.
Well, it's like if you...
Just being a recording artist isn't enough. You have to be playing out.
If you publish a book, you're out giving readings and signings and so forth.
I need to play my music.
I mean...
Right. So I had to acquire a bunch of gear to do that, and I'm in the process of doing that, but I haven't exactly booked. I had a show. My first show was booked for April 7th, but then I canceled it in order to be able to play with my best friend, who is also a beautiful musician, but she couldn't do that show. So we got pushed back to August, and she wanted me with her because I sing her harmony parts, and she didn't want to do it without me. And so I gave up my gig in order to be able to perform. Where was it booked? Her. So there's this women's songwriters showcase that happens once a month in Lawrence.
Once a month?
At the Caw Valley Public House.
Wow.
And somebody tagged me on Facebook when they posted, the woman who runs this little affair, posted that she was looking for new
talent.
Talent is the right word.
What did you say?
Blood. Okay. New talent.
Is she a vampire?
The Women's Songwriters Showcase. And somebody tagged me on her post, and I was like, yep, sign me up. Because I think if I put it on my calendar, then I have to get all this shit together. Then I have a deadline, right? And I'll have to get my gear, and I'll have to make it happen.
That's how I wound up propping cameras on Scotch tape and phrase books.
Because you gave yourself a deadline, and you had to do it, right? So I gave myself that deadline, and she was like, yes, please come. Please be a part of it all. And then she was looking for one more performer, and I was like, my friend Allison would be so great. Let me get her hooked up. But then that didn't work. That date didn't work for Allison. And so then everything just got mucked up. And now I'm not doing it until August. But I just have to put myself out there. Like, I'll find a place to play. I'll go play in a restaurant somewhere. It doesn't matter.
Okay. So it took about 6 months to record the album. Mm-hmm. And then 6 months from that point, it was ready to be released.
6 months from there, I was taking photography and getting all my shit show lined up and figuring out all the technology and getting my social media pages ready and designing album. I had an actual graphic designer design the album cover for me because my brother Joe said, you need a professional to do this because how many times are you going to release an album in your life, sister?
Yeah.
Right? You need to do it right. So you have a professional design the album cover for you. And I'm like, well, there's another fucking $400, right? And you pay the photographer, and there's $600 and whatever. I'm just throwing money at this shit.
Yeah, I paid a gal to design the logo and the website, and it wasn't cheap.
No.
She's great. She did a great job.
But you pay talented people for their talent. Like, I believe in paying people for their talent. But it's important to pay artists for their fucking artistry.
Yes. But
so I was elated to support those artists in their craft. Right. And their craft was contributing to my craft, but it just took a while to get all that shit together.
So now I'm dealing with monthly hosting fees for this to live on the website, which is fine. But if I want it to go to Spotify and Apple and all the places, then
you need to release it through a label, like me, right?
Maybe. I don't know.
How do you get your podcast on Spotify?
You can't do it directly. You've got to use these platforms like Buzzsprout is one. Mm-hmm. There's a couple others, but they all, who's
the dickhead that's caused all the Spotify controversy lately that like Neil Young decided.
Joe Rogan?
Yeah. Neil Young isn't going to be on Spotify anymore, and India Arie decided she wasn't going to be on Spotify anymore because of Joe Rogan.
Who?
India.
Oh,
India Arie.
I don't know who that is. But those people, I guarantee you, none of those people have any idea what goes on.
Right. How did Joe Rogan get on Spotify?
Because his shit is amazing. And Spotify gave him $100 million. And that.
Right. But they're not going to give you $100 million.
Oh, I wouldn't. No, I just don't want to pay $25 a month to some other thing for it to get to the place. Anyway, it doesn't matter. They can just live on the website for now. But everything, I mean, like I spent
But once you get on Spotify, you have to get on a playlist. Like, just because you're on Spotify doesn't mean anyone hears you or sees you.
Interesting.
You have to somehow get onto playlists to get exposure on Spotify. And I don't know how to do that yet. Like, I look at my Spotify stats, and like in a month, I'll have had, 4 streams or 10 streams in a month. I'm not growing an audience on Spotify.
Yeah, but I
don't know how to do that.
But isn't the most important part of it the receiving of then the producing of the content that comes?
For me, absolutely.
Right? It's more. It means more than views, right?
Absolutely. But it is special for me and rewarding for me when another human being connects with my music.
Absolutely.
That is a profoundly powerful, beautiful experience, and it doesn't happen very often. Like my own family.
But does it carry?
My own family doesn't even like my music.
Yeah, I mean,
it's okay. It doesn't land.
I think all three of my sisters started the first episode of the podcast, and 40 minutes. I don't know how far they got. I didn't really.
And they were like, Not for me.
They're busy.
They're bored. They're bored and
bored
they're
or busy.
Yeah.
But it's been an absolute joy having the conversations. And so far, 3 out of 3 times when I go to do the editing, which is very lengthy.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, episode 21.
You're going to have to edit about 90% of what I've said.
What do you mean?
Because I ramble incessantly.
Oh, no, that's not. I'm talking about just making the cameras, go to you when you're talking and go to me when I'm talking.
Hey. Okay.
And then fitting in the audio, all of that is like
hours and hours.
21 hours for episode 2. I'm better at it now, but I'm literally when I finish, I have a sore cheeks because I'm smiling the whole time editing.
It's so
I love it.
Delightful.
I love it.
You're delighted
and
by
it's like whatever. It's however many views, however many, if monetization happens, whatever.
It just doesn't even
I don't
matter.
care. That's not why I'm doing it.
Exactly. It's not why I'm doing it either.
I'm not screaming at the YouTube gods being like, I've got a mortgage, god damn it. No, that's not why I'm doing this. You know what I mean?
But it does feel good when someone else feels the joy that you feel.
Yeah.
From the content that has passed through your physical body out into the world.
So
I get that.
All right. So
do you want to play another song?
I do, but not yet.
Oh.
So 12 months to get it out. And
from my first recording experience when I was very green and had no fucking idea what I was doing.
Right.
To releasing the album approximately a year later.
Yeah. And you decided at that point that...
I released the whole album, all 10 songs, boom, in one album, which was a mistake. I shouldn't have done that. I should have released the songs one at a time.
Right.
Like drip,
which
drip,
you've done.
Drip. Well, that's what I'm doing from now on.
I know, but is there... So this one's been out for 8 days, you said?
7 days.
7 days.
I think I released it on Wednesday last week because I finished recording it on Tuesday. Released it on Wednesday. What's today? Tuesday. Not even 7 days, 6 days.
So is the next one ready to go? Or?
Oh, yeah, it's done. I'm just...
How many more are
waiting?
ready?
I sent it to you.
You did?
Uh-huh. I emailed it to you.
Then you sent me the new track?
I thought I emailed you both my new tracks.
Shit.
That's okay.
Because I know you emailed me 2 different things. Uh-huh. But I also, before I really...
but you're the only one who's heard the other one.
But before I looked at the email, I went to the
YouTube.
Well, no, to the bandcamp from your Instagram.
Yeah, and the other one's not out yet on Bandcamp because I'm timing it.
Right. So
for maximum impact. But we could play it tonight. This could be a little sneak preview. And all of your 6 listeners or 3 listeners or 1 listener could hear it before it's actually released.
Let's do marked and see where we go from there.
Okay. So you are ready to play a song? Okay.
Some will leave a mark that lasts forever. Some will leave a mark that fades in time. I will leave Still I bear the mark of your connection. Will you bear the mark of what remains?
Good stuff.
You liked it?
I did a lot. I meant to say, I don't know if it necessarily reminds me, but it does a little bit. The way that one ends. The first used to be. Mm-hmm. That one not only ends similarly, but it ends with like a couple of haunting words. Mm-hmm. What is it? Will you remember me at all, or something? Yeah. How does that end?
Yeah. Will you remember me at all?
Yeah, which I did not see that coming. Like I was like, oh my God, that, because I think the volume is like the sound of your voice is actually like kind of fading also almost to a whisper, kind of like casting this sort of gray death image. Something, you know what I mean? Like I was just like,
yeah,
whoa.
That song was written from a very deeply broken, devastated place
that you had to leave a state for because of
different guy.
Okay.
Different guy.
Okay. All right. So we've done a lot of dabbling in the 2020s. We got to back it up.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So you're the baby. Mm-hmm. Mom and dad met where?
I don't know who's going to listen to this podcast, but I'll just be truthful. My dad was married to my half-brother Dave's mother.
Okay.
And cheated on her with my mother.
Okay.
And that's how.
And had 2 babies with her.
And had 2 babies.
Okay.
My brother Joe and me. So that's how they met.
Okay.
Somehow we're all friends now.
Like Thanksgiving and shit?
Yeah, we have Thanksgiving together.
Nice.
All the exes.
Where was this going down?
So this was in Chicago.
Okay. Dad has always been in Chicago, you said. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Now, my dad was born and raised in Louisville, but he had moved to Chicago at this point, and that's where he met my mom. My brother Dave was born there. And so when my dad and my mom got together, my mom was pregnant and they moved to Louisville, Kentucky. And that's where my brother Joe was born. And I was born 15 months later. We're very close in age. And my dad, all through...
Wait, and what's the age of older brother compared to middle brother?
So Joe is 15 months older than me, and my brother Dave is 6 years, 5.5 years older than me.
So was this marriage over?
So that was over.
Like done. And then
my dad had a toddler, right? And then moved with my mom to Louisville.
But the mom didn't, she just let him go with the kid?
Yeah, well, he had visitation and saw him summers and stuff.
Oh,
and
okay, gotcha.
Actually, he came to stay with us for summers.
Right.
My mom ended up, my mom ended up being very close with my half-brother Dave because he would come and spend the summers with his dad, which meant my dad was never around, right? So really what that meant was he spent his summers with my mom, his stepmother, and his 2 half siblings.
Yeah, okay.
And we had a great time.
Good.
While my dad was off doing God knows fucking what.
You actually don't know?
Well, my dad has been bipolar his whole life and has struggled with mental illness and he and my mom split up when I was 6 months old, but during the time that I was between when I was born and when they split up, my mom had him hospitalized against his will because he was completely fucking psychotic.
Yikes.
Like, it was not good.
No, it doesn't sound like it.
It wasn't good. And he hated her for that. And it took him a while to get beyond that. But my dad is he's a genius, you know. I don't know what his IQ is. He's a genius. But along with that kind of intelligence and creativity frequently comes struggle and mental illness. And that was certainly the case for my dad.
We talked about Ryan Adams in episode 1, like insanely gifted, talented, but it's all the problems fuel the fire for his prolificness.
Yes.
Like my buddy was saying, he has gone into the studio and recorded complete albums, and like one thing is off, and he's like, "Nope,
I'm done.
In the vault, and then start over with new material."
Yeah, Sid Barrett level shit.
Right. Well, yeah.
And my dad has mellowed a lot in his older age.
Okay.
But
so he was hospitalized in Louisville, but eventually he's out. He's out.
Like people came and took him away in a straitjacket and hauled him off to the. And in those days you could do that. You can't do that anymore. No. But in those days you could. And they put him on lithium, and I don't know. My mom essentially raised my brother Joe and me, but we had a stepdad who entered the scene.
Okay. And how old are you? You're 6 months when this happened. And then how old are you when stepdad comes around?
Stepdad was already on the scene.
Oh, okay.
Stepdad and biological dad and mom were all living together in kind of a early 70s free love.
God, you were bound and determined for the life you're living today.
And I really think that my bio dad was looking for someone to replace him because he knew he really couldn't.
How introspective.
He couldn't do it.
Wow.
He couldn't be there. So my stepdad, whose name is Tony, who I have no contact with, who I have not had contact with since I was 8 years old.
So that didn't last.
Well, it lasted long enough. To, I grew up in I don't remember, obviously, my life with my bio dad. I was 6 months old. Yeah. All I remember is my life with my stepdad and my mom. And he was our primary caregiver because my mom was the breadwinner. And he was a damaged person. I don't know how else to describe him. He was also mentally ill, and he was abusive of my brother and me. He was abusive of my mom.
Sounds like your mom's got to do a little bit better job dude picking.
She didn't pick the greatest guys.
Happens.
It's okay.
So he's gone when you're 8.
I think my stepdad loved us in the only way that he knew how to love us, but it was not a healthy way. And so that song, Forged in Fire, that's what I'm referring to, is growing up. My brother and I grew up in a household that was fucked up.
So you guys are shaped within the realm, the construct of like super intense heat, for lack of a better word, and you turned out how you turned out.
It was not a very safe upbringing at all, in any way, shape, or form. And, there's a line in that song, in the bridge, "It's okay to tell the truth."
Yeah, that stuck out. I wasn't even looking for it. I wasn't looking at the lyrics or anything, but I heard that and I was like, whoa.
So the day I finally told my mom the truth about what was happening, I never saw my stepdad again.
You weren't kidding when you said he was being abusive.
Oh no, she filed charges and we left the state, and I never spoke to him or saw him again for the rest of my life.
At 8?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So, I don't know if he's okay. I don't know where he is. I don't know what he's doing.
Right. Nor do you need to, really.
I think he was abused by his dad, too.
Mm-hmm.
But, the cycle ends with my brother and me. that was the end
Good
of
job,
that.
Mom.
Thanks.
Yeah. So you guys leave and go where?
So my mom remarried.
Okay.
She married my next stepdad, and we moved to Naperville, Illinois, and we started living a very pedestrian, normal
Now is
life.
half brother no longer in the mix?
So we still see him all the time,
Okay.
you know, but when we would visit our bio dad, we would all visit together.
Okay.
And he was super fun time dad, right? We'd go spend a couple weeks with him in the summers.
Yeah.
And it was all like Burger King, movies, arcades. Do you remember arcades?
Of course I remember
Oh my
arcades.
God, we would eat entire weekends in an arcade.
Yeah, it was good times.
We had so much fun. Every Star Wars movie, every Close Encounters movie, every everything formative in my childhood happened
on
with
Dad's
my brothers
watch.
and my dad. Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I'm a nerd. And we were a super musical family.
Well, all right. So
we would always sing together, and we would find these beautiful 4-part harmonies. And
you and brothers with Dad.
yes, my dad has a beautiful bass voice.
Okay.
Bass baritone. My brother Dave eventually grew into a bass voice, but when we were kids, you know, we would sing together. And my dad's an amazing pianist as well.
No kidding.
Mm-hmm.
Still plays today? Mm-hmm. Even with all...
So when I went to see him over my birthday weekend, you know, I told you
Yeah.
he has dementia.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how old he is. He doesn't know how old I am. He doesn't know what year it is. But you sit him down at his piano.
Wow.
And you put a Bach invention in front of him, and he can fucking sight read that shit.
Wow.
It's beautiful.
I mean,
I can't do that.
No, but I mean, does he have stress or anxiety at all? Because it sounds like he would be free of those things.
He doesn't anymore.
Right. I mean, not that it's necessarily a good thing, but like we have...
I think he's pretty at peace. He's pretty happy.
That's
which,
good.
You know, many people with dementia become irritable and angry, and
Why do you think that is?
I don't know why.
Because they're aware?
Maybe. My dad isn't angry or irritable at all. He's so sweet and peaceful, and he's just full of love.
That's
and
cool.
It's beautiful that is his experience of the loss of his identity, right? The loss of his life.
Sweet and peaceful
really.
over irritable and angry.
It's okay.
It's a win-win.
That's
So
how I feel.
was third time a charm for Mom, marriage-wise?
Oh no, she's single now.
She's single now.
So, and she had a marriage prior to my dad, my bio dad.
Okay.
She married a man that she met in college. She went to UT. She was
In
she
Austin?
grew up in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Yeah. But she went to UT and she met this guy and married him, and that's how she ended up in Chicago, because he was a physicist and was teaching at Northwestern in Evanston. So that's how she ended up in Chicago. And he was a fucking lunatic, jackass, crazy. I think she was cheating on him with my dad while my dad was cheating on my brother Dave's
So much fucking
mom
going on.
with her. Right. But this guy like pulled a gun on my mom.
Oh, shit.
And I think he was still teaching at Northwestern when my brother Joe went to college there and became a physics major. So that's kind of creepy.
Whoa.
I know. They never met.
So whenever...
I think he's retired now. I'm sure he is, because my mom's, you know, she's almost 80.
Right. Whenever whenever you're on Mom and Stepdad's watch, is there music there, or is music coming
My
from...
mom loves music. We didn't connect through music the way I did with my brothers and my dad.
Okay.
That's definitely on that side of my family. And it's my dad's mom, my Kaplan grandmother. Her name was Marie Kaplan. I feel her presence very profoundly and very strongly. And when I was a little girl, and I would go to Louisville for summers, that's where my grandparents, I grew up in Louisville, but then even when I moved away, I would come back and visit them for the summers. I was very close with both my grandparents, and they had a piano in their basement. And I would be down in their basement playing just nonsense. Like, I didn't know how to play the piano.
Not even chopsticks or anything.
No, I would just play like these
your boat.
grand orchestrations that were only happening in my head. But I would sit at her piano and I could hear beautiful things playing in my head. I'm sure what they were listening to was, cacophony.
Yeah.
But I would spend hours in their basement just pounding away on that piano. And she tolerated it. She never made me stop. She would just fill me up with M&Ms and Coca-Cola and Sprite and Big Red. Do you remember Big Red?
Gum? The cinnamon gum?
No, the soda.
Mm-mm. Mm-hmm. No Big Red.
That's a Kentucky thing.
Okay. Yeah.
It's like a cream ale.
Oh, yeah. I bet I'd like it.
Anyway, she'd fill me up with, and she would make cream cheese and olive sandwiches on rye bread. We were super Jewish.
Really?
Like, that part of my family is Jewish.
Okay. Is Kaplan a Jewish name?
Mm-hmm.
It is? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she'd let me pound away on the piano in her basement, and she'd let me be my crazy little self.
So you've gone with Sieber on your releases.
That's part of what took me so long to release the album, because I was in the process of separating from my husband. And I couldn't decide what my professional name.
Well, yeah. Now you have shit out and you're not divorced yet.
Right. I mean, now that I have to keep that name forever, because now that's my professional name.
Interesting.
But for a while I thought, well, I didn't want to be Tanya Kaplan because that would confuse people. But I didn't want to be Tanya Sieber because that locked me into...
Confuse people how?
An identity. Well, nobody knows me as Tanya Kaplan.
Right.
Like, why would you release an album under your maiden name? That's weird.
Because you got divorced.
But it's just weird.
I think it would fit the image perfectly for the new lane that you're going down. I bet no, I'm serious. I bet 0 people would be like, I'm confused. And I'd be like, no, that's Tanya now. Anyway.
But I didn't feel any
no connection to Kaplan?
Resonant with Kaplan than I did with Sieber. Like, it didn't feel closer to my identity. So I thought I should come up with a completely different name. I won't be Kaplan or Sieber. I'll make up my own last name, right?
Wait, did you?
Well, I thought about that for a long time.
I was like, I missed that.
I toyed with a million different options, and they were all stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Stupid.
I bet.
So then I just went with Tanya Sieber.
Hey, that's right. It works.
Because I had to put the fucking album out.
Yeah. So you said The Wall. Was okay. So
the very first album I ever.
But you're not.
Thanks to my dad.
You're not really consuming
bipolar dad
music with mom.
No.
But when you're hanging out with dad and brothers, music. His mom has the piano in the basement that lets you.
Thank you for being such a good listener.
I mean,
you're tracking on all of those little details.
That's
amazing to me.
Well, I think it would be. My sister, she watched a few minutes of episode 1. She's like, you asked the same question twice. I was like, I'm going to forget stuff. I'm trying to be a good host, but...
I think you're a great host.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you.
So you got The Wall first.
I got The Wall, my very first album.
When I asked you, the idea of this is, what's the most number one life-changing, impactful record, you did not say The Wall. Mm-mm. In fact, you said, oh, that's easy. Dark Side of the Moon.
And I think that the other song that I recorded last week that you haven't heard yet, that I haven't released yet, is like my homage to the Dark Side of the Moon. Because that song is just a big, spacey, ethereal wave of, it's just a vibe. sucks you in, it plops you on top of a wave, and it transports you to an entirely different universe.
And what's it called?
It's called Sweet Night.
Sweet Night. All right, so I've not...
I'm certain I emailed it to you.
You did, but I don't know how this, if we're going to be able to hear it.
Are you going to play it from the...
It's Sweet Night. Dude, that's fucking awesome. Holy shit. That's
my homage to Pink Floyd.
Mr. Green Jeans down in Wellington on all the
synth pad on the strings. That's how we accomplished
on the ones and
that.
twos or whatever they say.
And that acoustic guitar, I told him when we were constructing the acoustic guitar part, I said, I want it to sound like starlight that is sprinkling in through the veil. That's what the acoustic guitar needs to sound like.
The veil.
He totally accomplished it.
The veil of
consciousness.
Oh. Man,
Because that song is all about preferring the reality inside my head to the reality outside my head.
okay. What is the reality outside of your
and there's a veil
head?
that separates. Well, that's,
Life that we walk around in.
life that we have to walk
The
around
Matrix.
in.
Okay.
The Matrix. Bingo.
Right.
Exactly. Right. But the real stuff is what happens inside my head, which I wait all day for till I can lay my head down on my pillow and enter that magical space where the beautiful stuff happens. That's what that song is about.
I don't want to go too deep into this, but I'm a huge Fish fan.
Yes.
What is that reaction?
I love them too.
Oh,
my
okay.
God.
Okay. So both
Okay.
my kids are named after songs of theirs, and I've been to
I think I knew that.
77 shows, and my first dog that died of pancreatic cancer was named after the keyboard player. My kids have seen them a collective 15 times if you count in all the in utero shows. The reason why they work for me is because I am a person that develops a relationship with a song when I listen to it, especially on multiple listens. But when somebody like them, so they'll take a song, and while they're performing it live, they'll create a song within the song. Yes. And it's almost never they rehearse and practice a lot. They write all this stuff. They record albums, regardless of how you say the unit of measure. In a studio, they have their own studio called The Barn in Vermont, and they go there, and it's just anyway. But when they are performing a song live, the one that comes to mind is I watched them. They did a cover of "Cross-Eyed and Painless" by the Talking Heads, and they get to this. So they're doing the cross still waiting. They're doing the Talking Heads portion, and then they get kind of into this jam, and I swear to God, all I can see is somebody on a big fat fucking speedboat, and they use the Cross-Eyed and Painless, the Talking Heads portion to sort of get
carve
out, and far away from everything. Yeah. And then when they hit this jam,
to carve the channel out,
it's like they're just on glass, doing 70 miles an hour, and it's just smooth. And
that is exactly the vibe that I wanted to accomplish with the instrumentation of that song.
Okay. Well, that's the imagery that I thought of when you said lay your head down at night. And so you were 8 when you got the wall. When did you first listen to Dark Side?
What a transition.
Well, I don't know.
So
homage to Pink Floyd, we might as well
stay.
The
Dark Side, it was a couple years later before I was exposed to that. But my dad gave that to me as well.
On vinyl, cassette?
Vinyl. Oh, everything was vinyl at that time. Oh my God. I just remember I could have stared at that album cover with the prism and the
and then
rainbow.
all black.
Yes.
Just all black for days. Yeah, I don't...
Did you ever see the documentary about the making, the production of Dark Side of the Moon?
No. Is it? Where is it?
You know, on the one song on the album where you have the female vocalist.
Great Gig in the Sky. Yeah.
Do you know that
Claire? Her name's Claire, I think.
Well, she sounds black.
Yes.
But she's white and pasty and freckled.
Yeah.
Which is shocking to me.
Yeah.
I didn't know that till I saw the documentary, because you hear her voice and she's so
soulful.
And you're like, that voice could not come out of a white woman's
Yeah, that's
body.
Aretha Franklin singing that right there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Not possible.
Yeah.
I've always imagined that voice to come from just a stout, beautiful, bronzed black woman, right?
Yeah.
No, she's pasty and white and skinny.
And probably British.
Like me. Right. Anyway, when she recorded that vocal part, they put her in the sound booth or whatever. And
they gave her like no instruction.
No
didn't
instruction.
They? Like just do.
And they said improv it.
Yes.
And so she just, did what she felt. And when she came out afterward in the documentary, she said, "Oh my God, that was terrible." She was mortified at how horrible it was. She didn't want to hear it. She didn't want anyone to hear it. She was like, "Oh my God, that was terrible. I feel awful. Like, I can't believe how bad that was." And they were like,
"You nailed it."
It was rock gold.
Yeah.
Right?
It'll be the
absolute gold.
One of the most popular instrumentals of all time.
And the most identifiable instrumental of all time.
So.
And when she recorded it, she was ashamed.
Yeah.
Mortified.
Well, hopefully that didn't last long.
Isn't that such a fascinating story?
Yeah. I knew, Brain Damage, Eclipse, Money, Time. I knew all the hits from classic radio, but it was a minute. Like I had known those tracks for a minute before I sat down and really listened to it. And we used to go over to my buddy Seth's house, and his kid brother Bryce was one of my sister's age. He had a nice stereo. He had the upstairs room, so we went up there, and he's like, "Do you got to check this out?" We blasted "Great Gig in the Sky," and I'm sure you're aware, but there's a period when her vocals kind of come down, and at the same time the piano's coming up.
Yes.
And then right at the end of like a bar of piano notes, somebody goes, "If you hear this whisper, you're dying." And like we're all just 3-foot bong hits.
And you're sure you're dead. Like that's for you.
I mean, like way higher than anybody should be, with our ears to the speaker listening. I mean, what the fuck?
Right. That was the Syd Barrett moment.
Well.
And Syd Barrett, who had been long gone from the band.
2 records.
But when they recorded that, he was out of the picture because he had gone crazy by then.
He only was around for Piper at the Gates of Dawn and Saucer Full of Secrets.
But do you know?
Which were records 1 and 2.
They hadn't heard from him in years.
Yeah. And then he showed up.
He showed up during the recording of that album.
And looked like disheveled and lost.
Right. Came to the studio. Somehow he knew they were there recording it. Showed up at the studio. Didn't contribute anything, but then left. Like, it's fucking creepy.
Yeah. Very creepy.
Very creepy. My dad could have been Syd Barrett, but he pulled it out.
Wow.
He's still here.
Yeah, so...
Syd Barrett did too much acid.
Way too much. Mm-hmm. Way too much. He died not too long ago. He was around for a while.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think he died not too terribly long ago. Fuck. By the way, speaking of...
Jethro Tull, Songs from the Wood, is another...
Really?
Hugely influential album.
Okay.
Well, Benefit. Maybe Benefit is... That's the most important album of theirs.
I don't know any albums besides Aqualung.
Right. Oh, you need to listen to Benefit.
Yeah.
Okay, write that down.
Yeah.
And can I tell you, okay, so Dark Side of the Moon, Jethro Tull, Benefit. And then, you're going to think this is strange, but after the lead singer for Mother Love Bone died unexpectedly.
Chris Wood? Was that his name?
Soundgarden and Pearl Jam. The lead
Temple
singer,
of the Dog.
Thank you. The lead
Hunger
singer
Strike,
and the drummer
Chris Cornell
of Soundgarden and the guitar and bass player for Pearl Jam came together and produced Temple of the Dog.
Yep.
That to me is perhaps the most sacred collection of songs on the planet.
It's pretty fucking good. We used to do these weird, I did 20 years in restaurants. Mm-hmm. You did some time.
I did my time in restaurants.
Baker University.
Well, that was after my restaurant time. That was my salvation post crazy restaurant time.
There would be these weird challenges. Like I would chalk up lines of wasabi powder and challenge servers to or mix a little make a wasabi ball and throw it in their mouth. I mean, there was one where, and there was a prize. If you could do it, there was a prize. And like,
can I do a wasabi line with you tonight?
Off my butthole?
Maybe tomorrow night. I need to ease into that.
Okay, so it was.
Did I distract you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm mostly just frustrated because I don't have any wasabi in the house, and I feel like I have an errand to run now.
I know you missed the moment. You missed the opportunity.
Okay. So there was one. It was like $5 or whatever, and there was one that was like a coffee mug full of like pancake and waffle syrup. Just
Oh my God.
There was shit that involved mayonnaise. But the proudest I ever felt and still feel about challenges that were presented, and nobody ever even tried. I would give you $50 cash on the spot if you could hit the high notes to say hello to heaven.
I can hit them.
No, you can't.
Oh, I can.
No way.
Oh my God. Play it. I'll sing it. I'll play it along with the track.
For real?
That's like a 7-minute track. We really want to spend it? Can I tell you my favorite songs on that?
Yeah.
Okay. Hunger Strike obviously is a beautiful song, right? And that's what got all the radio play. Reach Down.
Uh-huh.
I want to reach down. Yeah. Oh my God. Beautiful. Okay. But Four Walled World.
Man, I don't know the record inside and out.
I cover that song.
Oh,
just
really?
Me and my piano.
Okay. I got it. Now I'm going to have to listen to it.
Mm-hmm. And the very last song on the album. The very last song, which is a Chris Cornell. This was like he was in his introspective period where he was thinking about love and relationships and connection and sweetness, and it didn't belong anywhere on, like, that whole album was so angry and broken, and there was so much despair and pain and a drug addiction and death and goodbyes, right? And then he puts that final song on the album. You just need to revisit it.
Yeah, tell me. It's the last track, but what's the name of it again?
Well, hang on. I have to... All Night Thing.
Interesting.
It's an all night thing. The chord progression in that song, like that, I think was, Chris Cornell in his early Soundgarden and mid Soundgarden days, and when he got together with the guys from Pearl Jam to do that, he was just like cracking open into his raw musical talent.
Uh-huh.
Like he had just been a screamer before then, right? And I mean, he'd written some great fucking songs, but it was all very heavy and
But that was where the whole world were like, dude, you have some pipes.
But the world opened up, and his creativity and what he heard, like he heard these jazzy, dissonant, crazy chord progressions that were not rooted in blues. They were not rooted in grunge. Like they were entirely, it was a complete departure for him. And they had these elements of deep, deep jazz that I don't know where that shit came from. Like, where did that come from?
Did anybody ever ask him about it?
Well, so his solo career that he launched, after all of that, that's where he explored all it. And
that's
most people didn't connect with it. Most people didn't get it. Like they just wanted to hear Black Hole Sun, Black Hole Sun, have you ever heard Norah Jones cover
I think so.
of Black Hole Sun?
So. Good stuff. I gotta check that out too.
Oh my God. Hearing her cover Black Hole Sun is what inspired me to cover Four Walled World, because the chord progression is unusual. It's unexpected. It's surprising. It's like not... Most grunge is, 3-4 chords, and it's very predictable. And I love grunge. Like, I'm a grunge baby. cut my teeth on that shit. I could listen to grunge all day, every day for the rest of my life and be very, very deeply
10 or
satisfied.
Nevermind.
Yes, and Bush
No,
and
no.
Alice in Chains. What?
10 or Nevermind. Which you got to be, you're one camp or the other.
I'm not going to be in the Nirvana camp. I'm sorry.
I'm not either.
Okay.
But it's totally fine if you are. Like, whatever.
I respect them.
Yes, same.
Right.
Same. Very much so. But
Alice in Chains is really they're my jam. But if you listen, like, I think Bush is brilliant songwriting. But there's fucking 3 chords in every song.
yeah.
Right?
This is Glycerine, that band?
Yes, and
Okay.
I cover that on the piano.
Do you really?
I turn it into a fucking torch song. It's extraordinary.
Okay.
It's extraordinary. But it's 3 chords.
Yeah.
Right?
Have you watched?
But what Chris Cornell did in his solo career was so complex and so smart.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
smart and complicated and beautiful and unpredictable and wild shit. Alice in Chains did some pretty wild shit.
So have you watched, I'm sure at some point you have, but you should revisit it as soon as possible. Nutshell was their opener to their unplugged set.
Yes!
I have
It's
goosebumps.
insanely good.
It's so fucking
I know.
amazing.
Like fucking mind-blowing stuff.
I mean, and Jerry Cantrell
And they're all dead. These beautiful people are all dead.
I know.
Blair.
That song,
These
that
beautiful, tortured souls.
that version is like right at 4 minutes.
Yeah, I know.
It's right at 4 minutes long, and Cantrell in that unplugged version does this like 40-second acoustic guitar solo where he's just running right up the. Oh my God, it's so fucking good. And Lane comes
and their
on.
harmonies. Like if you listen to the harmonies on a song like Rooster,
Mm-hmm.
nobody was singing those harmony intervals before Alice in Chains.
No.
That was groundbreaking shit.
Yeah.
Groundbreaking shit. Brilliant.
So
I'm sorry. You can tell what I get excited
yeah,
about.
it's all. You don't have to apologize.
Dirt was I have to rank that up there
Okay.
with Temple of the Dog. Dirt and Benefit by Jethro Tull.
Okay.
Globe Sessions by Sheryl
Sheryl Crow.
Title by Fiona Apple.
Okay.
And my roots in Pink Floyd, The Wall, and Dark Side of the Moon.
But you, like I said, no hesitation. Dark Side was
Yeah.
what you. Well, why such conviction? Why so certain?
To me, the whole point of music is to invoke a feeling, an emotion, right?
Mm-hmm.
If a song does not take you someplace different from where you are right in this moment, it's not doing its job. And I want to be transported. Like, that's what I seek.
Dude, I mean,
That's what I seek from music, is to be transported. And that's probably because I'm an alien. Like, I don't think I really am of this earth. I think I came from somewhere else. And that's probably why I'm attracted to this kind of music.
I tell you what, we talked earlier about the image that conjured for Forged in Fire. By the time you get to this point on Dark Side of the Moon, you're deep late in the album. It's almost over. The range of things that you've heard and experienced, especially if you're plugged in and like maybe eyes closed or at least listening alone. But by the time you get to, actually, this is in Times like track 4, I think. But anyway, that's still a lot to have taken in this record. And the song's winding down, and all of a sudden he says, home again. I like to be here when I can. When I come home cold and tired, it's good to warm my bones beside the fire. And I heard just now and every other time I've ever heard it, I see that parlor with like a dog on a dirty rug next to him and some muddy boots. And it's cold out and he's tired.
The vibe that you get from that song is what I feel when I sing Sweet Night and what I hope to convey through the instrumentation.
That
is the vibe that I'm going for.
I still like Forged in Fire and I like Marked and I like everything else. But
do you want to know who inspired the end of Forged in Fire where there's that vocal round that's happening?
Yeah.
There's those 4 vocal parts that are intertwined and
including
working together.
You.
Yeah.
Because there's 3 additionals.
Vocal parts of mine and then Carter sang a part, which I hadn't even conceived of. We're recording it. We're in the studio and he's like, wait, Tanya, I hear a part. Can I sing a part? And I was like, fucking sing it. And he sang his part and I was like, that's great. Add it to the song. Do you know the inspiration for the end of that song?
Mm-mm.
Are you familiar with the Indigo Girls?
I mean, ish. That's Melissa Etheridge's outfit.
No, that's not Melissa Etheridge.
Before?
They came out, they hit the scene at the same time, but
she was never an Indigo Girl?
No, she was not an Indigo Girl.
They were just at the Lilith Fair together.
Indigo Girls, beautiful, huge acoustic guitar sound and extraordinary creative harmonies, smart harmonies, right? And these are harmony lines where they're really 2 melodies that are woven together to create a harmony. And to me, that is beautiful harmony.
Yeah.
Writing,
okay.
Right? It's not just I'm singing an A, and so when the harmony part comes in, they're going to sing either the 3rd or the 5th.
Sure.
Right? No, these are 2 completely independent melodies that are woven together to create a whole new beautiful sound, right? And this is what the Indigo Girls were tremendous at. So they wrote a song where the whole final third of the song is that same
layering
motif
of vocals
where they're layering 4 different vocal parts, and Michael Stipe from REM.
This sounds familiar.
Sings the male part.
Okay.
That was the inspiration.
Cool.
For me,
very cool.
To that section of that song, I wanted to create something similar because I just love that.
Yeah.
I love how it builds. I love the climax. I love how it all works together to create something bigger than itself.
All right. So you made this silly decision to release 1 track at a time. And now one's at Marked is first,
right,
and then
now you've actually gotten a sneak
Sweet Night is 2.
The one I haven't released yet.
And then is there a 3rd?
There is a 3rd, and I haven't recorded it
okay.
yet. I need to go back into the studio. There's a 3rd. It's
so are you? Oh, okay.
But I have to get these out before the new stuff can come in. Because that's how it works.
I feel the same
body.
way. Yeah, I know. Do you? Are you keeping? We talked about how a lot of this shit you're just throwing money at this thing. Are you being are you OCD in the sense that you must keep your music money separate from the rest of your life money? Do you not book studio time until you've done enough tarot readings to hand over the fee, or is it all just? You
confuse me with someone who's disciplined and organized.
Oh, yeah. See,
fuck no, I don't do any of that. I book studio time when I feel the urge and the vibe, and I just assume and pray that the money will be there when it's time, and it always is.
That's amazing. Have your kids listened to your stuff?
Oh, my kids don't give 2 flying fucks about what.
They haven't listened to it.
They don't listen to anything I do, and they don't care, and that's totally fine. My kids are their own people.
Do they get it? What you're out doing?
No.
What are they into? 16 and 18. 18?
Almost 16 and 18. My son is trying real hard to graduate high school.
Okay.
It's not going well.
Okay. You told me a year ago that you're daughter has had some. I think you told me your daughter has had some challenges. I can't remember.
Have.
Okay, they both have.
We've spent a lot of time at the psychiatric hospital in the last 2 years.
That's right.
Both of them.
For a second, I thought you were going to say therapist's office, but nope.
Oh, that's the least of our worries. Those are the good times over the last 2 years.
Oh, man.
You know, they're just trying to find their way.
Sure.
And I'm just trying to love them through it.
Yeah, I'm assuming they feel loved from mom and dad.
Oh my gosh. Yes, I think so. I believe so. They tell me they do.
What are they into? What puts joy in their heart like music puts joy in yours?
I know, right? I don't think
that's what they're trying to figure out.
That yet.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think they found that, and I think they feel pressure to find it. And I don't. When I was their age,
I didn't get there till I was 50. Don't worry about it.
Right.
Or whatever,
exactly.
46. I don't know.
When I was their age, I had no idea who I was and what made me happy. Nor did I know what I wanted to be when I grew up. And I feel like there's all this pressure to have that figured out. Yeah. I'm still figuring it out every day. That changes for me.
Yeah.
And what I want for my kids is to feel the freedom and the space to explore that and to figure that out in their own time, and to just trust that that joy is waiting for them and available to them, and
you might not know what form. Joy is
looking for them. They don't need to look for joy. Joy is looking for them.
Right.
And when they settle into who they are, it will find them.
Right. So that's I hope that you're actually, whether it's verbally or otherwise, conveying that message and that they're receiving it. You know, because you could argue that is like your biggest task as their mom, right? The food and I
was confused about what my task as a mom was. For the longest time, I was confused, right? I thought it was to certainly feed them and clothe them and provide
that
for
part's
them and
easy.
Keep them alive. Like the first year of their lives,
yes,
keeping them alive was hard. I didn't know that I could actually do that. We're all here. It's okay. But I'm understanding that my role as their mom, like I'm growing into that role as they're growing up. My understanding of what that means changes every day too. And I used to think that my job was to provide like a framework and a structure and discipline and motivation and a pathway and a vision and avenues. And that's not my job at all.
I mean, it's your job for like little blips.
I can see the pathway that I can see, but I can't see the pathway that they're to see. Right. I can't see that, right? That's for them to find. And my only job as their mom is just to love them right where they are and who they are and how they are in this moment. Yeah. And that is all I can ever do for them. That's all I ever want to do for them.
Yeah.
And that is so fucking hard.
Yeah. It's
so hard. I've had to learn. Why do we have to learn how to do that? That should be automatic. And it's not. We have no idea how to do that as parents. Yeah. We have no idea how to do that.
I know. I mean, 11 and 8, and I've learned so much in the last 11 years, especially the last 8 years, to a point where you're like, this is cruise control. And then it can be the smallest thing, the thing you never saw coming, whatever. And all of a sudden you go, the fuck have I been doing? Yeah. Like, I've been, this whole time, I've been overlooking, the littlest kernel that turns out to hold the most value and will be the most impactful. So I've been trying to do all this, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I know. When I look back at my childhood, like the things that are the most meaningful that have lasted and stuck with me and been like a guiding light and a safe, like a sacred space for me, singing with my dad and my brothers. Of all the things, right? Of all the things that my parents, my mom separately from my many dads.
Right.
Like, I don't want to discount or discredit any of the millions of things that my parents did to provide a life and a path and a dream and opportunities for me and support for me. Oh my God, so much. And the thing that I look back on that is the most centering and inspiring and that fills me with the most love and joy is singing harmony in the backseat of a car with my dad and my brothers on a road trip to, New England. That's the shit that sticks with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I try to remember that as a parent. Like, it's not the big stuff. It's not the big picture stuff. It's not preparing them for college. It's not, getting them recruited as a soccer player. It's not all that shit. None of that matters. None of that is what they'll remember. They'll remember, me singing Baby Beluga to them.
Baby Beluga.
That was my song with my daughter.
Okay. When you would like,
little.
okay.
That's what'll stick with her.
Right. Man.
Rafi.
They are such a trip. Kids are. Okay, so who told you about bandcamp?
My brother Joe.
That's right. He was telling you about all the things.
Well, he told me all the shit I had to do if I was going to be releasing music.
Because so I went to your thing and I saw it opens up that and I was like, immediately the American Pie line. And this one time at bandcamp, I put my flute in my pussy, or whatever she says.
Yes!
I was like, what? But then I looked it up, and if you've ever gone to their website,
the main website,
yeah. It gives a lot of kind of like a book. We'll have quotes from a lot of people talking about how great bandcamp is.
It's the best.
The one at the very top, speaking of Chris Cornell, is a quote from Prince. And he said, what did he say? Music is healing. Write that down first. Like somebody was reaching out to him for an interview, or they were sitting down to do an interview. And that's just like the first thing that he said. Like, before you start asking me questions and writing down all these other things, write this down first. Music is healing.
He's not wrong.
And I was like, that, first of all, seems so Prince, and also really kind of fits. Like, I was done doing bandcamp research. I was like, oh, this is perfect for Tanya. Music is healing. Write that down first. So, Sweet Night, that's the name of the track. When will it come out?
When I feel like releasing it.
I thought.
When I feel like Marked has lost momentum.
Oh, okay,
and
gotcha.
Pick
Yes.
up another wave. It's all about catching. It's like I'm a surfer
Mm-hmm.
on the wave
hang
of
10, bro.
attention.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Marked.
It's very different from Marked.
Yeah, you.
Like
I remember
polar fucking opposite vibes.
You mentioned when you sent them, then you texted and you're like, they're so different. I was like, I mean, it would suck if they were like really similar, right?
But would it? Because sometimes I think as an artist, I should have an identifiable, recognizable sound. Like if you heard me on the radio, you'd be like, oh, that's Tanya Sieber, because I have a sound, right? Like Chris Stapleton has a sound.
Okay.
But everything I write is so completely unique. And again, it's because I don't think I'm the author.
Right. Well, you can have a sound, I suppose, but there's nothing wrong whatsoever with having vibes all over the place.
Well, I hope so, because that's where it's going.
Right. So
I produce what I receive.
you said, did I ask you the third song is ready, but you haven't recorded it.
Mm-hmm. I'll go back in and record it when I have some time.
Okay, so when you so for that you need time, but all this talk about having to get it out to make room for
right. And by the time I go in to record that, I'll probably have new material because I have gotten 2 songs out, and that has created space.
Okay.
For more to come in.
So what if marked? I mean, I feel you with the surfer analogy, but I mean, it's also entirely possible that marked doesn't necessarily lose momentum. I mean, it could ride that for a while.
I don't know.
I mean,
I have no idea. I don't know if people connect with that. It's weird. It's a weird fucking song.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Oh, it is.
It's weird.
It's different.
It's like when I listen to it, I think of a marionette.
Really? Mm-hmm. Isn't there
like a creepy marionette with X's for eyes?
Mm-hmm.
It's like ice picks.
Isn't there?
It's like cold. It's a very cold, steely, mechanical sounding song.
Yeah, but are there lines in there, or did you say something about the marks were made by there's somebody else's marks?
So the song if you look at the lyrics, it's really an introspective consideration of what the experience of being loved and loving does to us over the course of our life. Like what marks that experience leaves on us, what marks we leave on other people, whether those marks last briefly or last a lifetime, whether we mean to leave marks or not mean to leave marks. And are you familiar with the plague?
The plague?
The plague.
As in like bubonic?
Mm-hmm.
Like black?
So you know the fairy tale or the ring around a rosy pocket full of posy ashes.
I mean, I feel like there's a creepy...
We all fall down. You've heard that, right?
Yeah, like in a creepy
horror
movie.
Do you know the origin of that?
No.
Song? It comes from the plague era because when people were stricken with the plague, the way that it would first show up, the way that it would first manifest physically was a red ring around a rosy spot on their skin. And when that would show up on your body like a tattoo, then you knew that you'd been infected and you're probably going to die.
Sweet.
Ring around a rosy. Pocket full of posies, ashes, ashes. We all fall down. It's a very grim little song. I feel we all grew up singing this, right?
Fun, and you all fall down.
Uh-huh. Right.
But
and
then,
it's whimsical sounding.
But there's
just like that song has a whimsical instrumental element. Doom, doom, doom,
yeah.
doom, doom, doom,
yeah.
Doom, doom, doom. It feels like a merry-go-round, right? It feels like carnival music.
Yeah,
I thought it feels whimsical, but when you're marked with the mark of the plague, it's either going to kill you or it's going to lay you so low that for the rest of your life, you're grateful that you are a survivor of it, right?
Yeah.
And so that was really the inspiration for the lyrics for that song. And it was a play on that little kid's nursery rhyme. That's what that was. It's a nursery rhyme.
Well, you know what I heard?
Why the fuck did we sing that shit as a nursery rhyme?
Know.
That's dark and
horrific. When it started playing, and I heard that classical piece.
For Elise.
That's those first few. Yeah, I was like, whoa.
Beethoven.
Okay.
Well, I'm not surprised that you would hear a classic. I mean, that's my training.
Right.
I have a classical piano training, so that would have come through. But, I think of our experiences in love as plague-like, you know? It affects us all. It hits us all.
Yeah.
And some of us survive and some of us just never get over those marks.
Right.
Right.
Okay. So
that's where that song comes from. It's darker than you thought it was, huh?
No, I mean, perhaps. Yeah. With all that Ring Around the Rosie backstory, for sure. But the dark, a portion of the darkness was delivered, you can stop singing that now. I swear there's a horror movie.
I'm telling you, that track is going to show up in the next great Freddy Krueger.
It already is
movie.
Well, I swear there's a scene in A Nightmare on Elm Street where there's a little girl on a street corner
on the fucking tricycle.
It's
the tricycle scene from Stop it. Now I'm never going to make it home.
Tanya Sieber found cut to 170 pieces on K10. All right, so we gotta.
It's some creepy shit.
We gotta tell everybody where stuff is one more time.
Okay.
So the way I got there was from your Instagram, which we discovered was
Tanya
Sieber .music on Instagram. And then in your bio, people can reach your Bandcamp. But
TanyaSieber.bandcamp.com.
And once you're there,
just like my website,
you can have access to the record and the single.
Yes, the record you can also download just individual songs from the record,
right? Or
you can download the whole record, or you can download the single, or you can buy the CD. In which case, I get a little notification that you've ordered the CD.
Fuck, I gotta go to the post office.
I put it in a little envelope and I mail it to you with a little handwritten card that says, "Thank you, I love you,"
and a pair of underwear.
And a 6-day-old pair of underwear. Bonus. Bonus track.
So, and you do have a YouTube?
I have a YouTube channel. Tanya Sieber Music is my YouTube channel.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And I've made some videos for my songs. I actually made videos for, and I put them on my YouTube channel. And it's really, those are fun. I'm going to do more videos.
Okay. So what is there a way for in any of your...
This is my YouTube, Tanya Sieber Music. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No glasses in those pictures.
Right. So what is the video portion, just like stills while the audio plays?
Yeah. So I just have grabbed some still
images.
So the video for you should watch the video for Forged in Fire because you like that song.
I did. A lot.
All
it was my favorite.
The images
on the record.
In that video are my family photos from when I was a baby and a kid. It shows me and my brother growing up together.
So
in our crazy, scary, dangerous, toxic household.
Yeah.
You should watch that video.
Where is there a place? So you have a Facebook also. You have a YouTube, an Instagram, a Bandcamp. You have a Twitter or anything else?
I do, and I post things occasionally on my Twitter.
Occasionally? What's your Twitter?
I have 4 followers on Twitter.
Okay. Maybe you'll get 5 after this. I'll follow you.
That'd be great. My Twitter, I have to remember what my name is. Tanya Sieber Music. It's at Music Sieber.
At Music Sieber.
Music Sieber.
Okay, so on one of these platforms, if we're to wrap this up and I was to go to follow you or subscribe, which one is going to give me a notification for when Sweet Night
comes out?
Yes.
Oh, you should probably follow me on Bandcamp.
Follow you on Bandcamp.
And subscribe on my YouTube channel.
Okay.
You can become a subscriber. It's easy. When you go to my channel, you just hit subscribe.
Yeah, no.
And anytime I put a new video up, you'll get a notification.
Well, but will you put a video up for Sweet Night right when it comes out, or will it take some time?
So DistroKid automatically produces a video on YouTube.
That's cool.
But all it is a picture of whatever photo you've uploaded with that song. And it's just the photo of you. And then the song.
Okay.
But they do that automatically for you. So that gets generated. It's content that's generated magically, I don't have to upload anything to YouTube.
One less
When
thing.
I upload it to DistroKid, it shows up on YouTube as a video, even though it's just a still photo.
Sure. That's cool.
You get that?
Yeah.
It's all synced.
So Sweet Night is
magical.
recorded. It's coming out. Third track will be whenever you get around to getting...
Find time to get back to Wellington.
Right.
To record it.
And then how do people find you for the tarot stuff?
My tarot handle is Hummingbird Tarot. You can find me on Facebook or Instagram.
All right.
Hummingbird Tarot Joy.
And this is like
my Instagram.
Somebody comes, you meet in real life and you're like...
I do a lot of readings over Zoom now.
Okay.
I started doing that in COVID, and that actually works great because we see each other on the screen. I can record it and send you a audio recording of your reading, which that's so helpful to go back and listen to.
Tarot
it
is
later.
not the same thing as palms.
No, tarot is not. I
read a cards?
Deck. Cards.
Okay.
It's a very intuitive process.
Right. Does it come with a free pair of panties also, or no,
6 day?
Six day. Also, okay. I like consistent across the board. What are we forgetting?
I don't think we're forgetting anything. This has been so fun. I felt like I should have prepared for this interview. Like, what the fuck am I going to talk about? And
aren't you glad you didn't now?
We talked for hours about everything and nothing.
We're rolling up on 3.
Everything and nothing.
But I mean, this is it's
so great.
Good. I mean, so getting the space ready, I made this table, which I'm not a handy person.
You made this?
I made it, yeah, out of a door.
It's a little tall for me.
Well,
I'm kind of short.
I was afraid that being a short person, that I would shoot the wrong way, and then
so you went tall.
You
overcompensated.
You could crank your little thing and raise you up in the chair a little bit.
Oh,
but
done
good
that.
Good to know for next time. But getting the gear and then learning what the fuck I'm doing and overcoming obstacles. None of any of that surprised me more than when I finally, after talking about it for a year, was ready.
And you did your first interview?
And I started getting no's. Like, including from people that last year were like, yeah, I'll do that. And
who would say no to this?
And gave me records.
This is the most fun night I've had, like, in forever.
People that want to be...
Who would say no to this?
People that that envision themselves as private people that don't, and these are my theories, I don't know. People that don't, they're terrified at the idea of seeing their face or hearing their voice. I mean... I don't like that was not an obstacle. I knew all the other things would be challenging and of varying degrees.
You didn't think people would say no?
No. And I mean, my list is like...
Shit. This has been so fucking fun.
Well...
Like, I want to encourage all of your listeners, when Blair invites you to come do the podcast, say yes, because this has been a dreamy experience.
Well, thanks.
It's been so great, so rewarding, so fun, so easy.
Well, and
delicious.
Yeah.
I loved every minute.
Yeah, man.
Say yes when he asks you.
Yes, you heard it right here.
Only if you're an inherently interesting person, though.
Right. If you're lame and change your underwear every day, don't say.
Don't say yes.
So I'm getting, I get better with each episode on the back end.
But I think you're very good at this.
Editing. And getting it up and out.
Oh.
So a couple days.
The interviewing process. I don't know how you are at editing, but
it's time consuming.
Excellent interviewer.
Thanks. Thank you.
This has been effortless and flawless and easy and intuitive, and
that's really...
I feel like I'm in a Pink Floyd song.
Right.
This whole
it helps
3 hours.
It helps to know that you feel that, because leading up, I'm always anxious as
What?
fuck.
Really?
Yeah, I'm like, do I want to have a cocktail and a Xanax and a bat hit? Or should I jerk off and take a nap? I'm not sure what's going to...
Oh, you're so good at this. You were born to fucking do this.
Well, I mean...
Blair, born to do this shit.
We'll see if, if I can turn some of those no's into, yeses, or let me think about it. Let me get back to you.
Well, The hockey gloves behind you are especially.
That's my first pair.
Really?
And I'm about to have to retire my second pair. And if you've never, I didn't know that getting gloves palmed was a thing.
What does that even mean? What does that mean?
So after a while, and a long while.
Oh my God!
Yeah. Yeah.
That happens?
Yeah.
They just fall apart like that?
Totally.
They're just shredded.
Yeah, and then
Hold them up for the camera. Make sure the camera can see that. Wow. That's not safe.
No, well, it's one thing to tolerate holding a stick. It's another thing if somebody else's stick hits you and your fingers, because that doesn't feel good at all.
It's cold. It's so cold.
Well, you're moving around your bloods.
But your hands aren't still. Ooh, I had no idea.
Yeah, so I'll be retiring my second pair of gloves soon because they're moving in that direction. You can ship them off and have them repalmed. I'm like, I think I'll just get a new pair. Yeah.
That's what's happening in my life right now. I'm being repalmed.
Wow. Okay. There's some kind of, I don't know what the joke or the connection to tarot, all that stuff. Okay. We talked about where the tarot stuff can find.
Yeah, they can find my tarot. They can find my album.
Okay.
Yeah. Or they can contact you, and then you can put them in touch with me.
That's right.
If they want anything,
That's
they can
right.
just email me. We can text. We can chat. I'm a super great pen pal.
All right. Yeah. Who did you say at the beginning? Somebody from
Stan Farley. I never finished that story. Stan Farley, who came to one of my Solars shows, this band that I joined, right? And he came up to the stage at the end of the set, and he's like, I've always just loved the bass, and I love bass players, and I wanted to introduce myself and say how great I thought you were. And we exchanged emails and became pen pals. And Stan Farley, he was my very first supportive, encouraging fan.
Okay.
When I first recorded songs, I would email them to him, and he would say, Tanya, these are great. They're so great. Keep going. Keep going. And when I released my album, I'm telling you, he makes all my CDs, like physically produces my CDs for me.
Really?
Because I don't have that technology.
Right.
He makes my CDs. He ships them off to radio stations all over the world. He promotes my material. I've gotten airplay in Australia because of him.
Wow.
I got airplay in an interview in the UK because of him.
Cool.
I got featured on Coast to Coast as an emerging artist at the beginning of January this year. All of this is possible because Stan Farley believes in me and sends my shit all over the place.
Yeah, we got Carter, we got the Schlotterback.
The Slaughterback Boys.
Stan Farley, mom, brothers, father of your children, your grandmother, the vessel.
My grandmother who gives me the songs.
Nick James for the photography.
The photographer, yes.
And friends and family.
Those are the liner notes.
Man.
That's
all
how
right.
it all happened.
You didn't, I was a little harsh on you by saying you did a terrible job giving credits on your liner notes. It turns out you did just fine. And I thought
I got everybody in there.
Well, I thought there was like 5 musicians per track playing instruments.
It's me and Carter.
Yeah.
It's
so
just me
I have
and
to take that back. You did a fine job.
Thank you.
Tanya Sieber, thank you. This was so much fun. We'll do it again sometime, maybe.
Maybe my next album, although I don't do albums anymore.
Yeah, you need to rethink that for sure.
Okay, maybe.
All right, we'll talk to you. Bye.